Hey everybody, it's your girl Ericka from the CLASSYIT blog. Listen, this is one of my most requested return of guests on specific topic of Texas and folks move into Texas. So I said, let me come on and bring on my special guest, Big Dog Dallas, Mr. Tim Jackson, the real dope, okay? Elected city council, something. I don't know. He's not a city council member, but he's up there somewhere on a council, on a panel. But I'll let him introduce himself.
Well, what's going on, Ericka? It's always a pleasure to be back. I meet a lot of people through your platform, and a lot of people reach out to me. They say, I was watching Ericka and the CLASSYIT blog, and I saw your video. You have any questions that can you answer these questions? And got an opportunity to meet some good people. People have actually bought real estate here in Dallas off of the strength of our interviews. So I want to thank you for that. I appreciate you for, even considering me and seeing me as an expert in this field. And anytime I can lend myself to you, just let me know.
Man, come on now. You the expert in Dallas. You always trying to run away, but that's your city, okay?
Hey, listen, I'm a low man on the totem pole, man. I'm just sitting back here trying to learn the game. You know what I'm saying?
Man, I be seeing y'all in California all over the place. I'm like, man, get back to Dallas.
No, what's going on though? How you been? I see you doing some great things.
Oh man, enjoying every bit of 2020 was such a sit down and be quiet moment. Right? And I was okay with it because you just learn so much when the wind changes, who doing what, right? How people treat you when things are good and when things are bad. Like you get to kind of see, as they say, the old saying, who's skinny dipping while everybody, when the tide comes out. And I just got to learn so much. And so I was super grateful for that. But everybody, make sure you're dropping your city and state in the chat. You know how we like to do.
Oh, we're live right now?
Oh, we live.
Oh, that's so. Where we live at?
YouTube.
Okay, cool. Great.
Yeah. I like to do the live show. Hit us with the super chats,
What's up?
And so you've been seeing the news. Now, for the time being, Austin, people love us. Everybody, their mama want to come to Austin, but what ends up happening is we get people for a year or two, and then they go to Dallas or Houston. That's the real story nobody talks about is we get them when they first get here, and then y'all get them back from us. I don't know how it happens, but it does.
Yeah, it's not cheap in Austin. Austin feels like a West Coast city in Dallas. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I just got back from Silicon Valley, believe it or not. I had to go down to Monterey Bay to take care of some business. And, that's what Austin feels like. All Austin is missing is a beach. You know what I'm saying? It just feels like a really, really trendy city. It attracts a lot of young people. But what people find out really quick when they get to Austin is that it ain't cheap. And, so, and it's not really big. I don't think a lot of people know everything's bigger in Texas and Austin's our capital, but it's not the biggest city.
It's not at all. Austin's
it's not the biggest city at all.
You be out.
Hey, you in and you out, straight up. So yeah.
Well, part of too, what I've been trying to recruit people, I'm like, Pflugerville's Chocolate City, come to Chocolate City, right? And everybody's like, Ericka, stop saying that. Well, finally they posted, get the door, John. Finally they posted the numbers. We were at 20%. And Round Rock was at 15% Black people. Pflugerville was at 20% Black people. Because every day I was interacting with people from Ohio, from other states. And I was like, what made you come here? And they go, well, I just heard all this good stuff about Pflugerville, so I'm here. And I bought a house for cheap. Huh?
The same way they did with you and I talked about that with DeSoto here in Dallas. About 5-6 years ago, it was one of the most growing Black cities in the nation.
Mm-hmm.
Funny you say Pflugerville. The only people I know from Pflugerville are Black. You know what I'm saying? Everyone I've ever met from Pflugerville is Black. Everyone. So yeah, that's funny. It's right outside Austin.
I paid on a credit card, and I was on the phone with them, right? And the lady's like, "You're the fourth person today called from this place." I don't know how to say it, but I heard this already earlier today. I'm like, well, they probably was Black. They probably was Black. It was saying without saying. So
yeah, that's funny. Good money making Black people too.
Listen, I always say train your mind for what you want to see. And so one day I was like, I want to see what did I call it? Tech Black men, right? For all this week, and every tech Black men I see, I'm gonna speak and just say hi, just as one of those things. I literally was just inundated, just seeing it. It's like one of those things when you don't see it, when you're not looking for it, you don't see it. I went to a grocery store in Round Rock down the street from Dale, and it was like 20 brothers in there. I'm like, oh, hello, hi, hello. Hello, sir. You down here in the Round Rock, I see. Hello.
Yeah, that's
So
hilarious.
when people
That's
start complaining
hilarious.
about
Train your
Austin, I
mind for what you want to see. I wrote that
train
down.
it.
That's a good one.
But let's not dwell on Austin. We're
Yeah.
beautiful, but the big baby, the big D, as I tell Asia when she get mad, she be like, Detroit's the D. I'm like, but Dallas is the big D.
Dallas is the big D.
I mean, literally on the news, the
Shout
guy
out to
said,
Detroit. Listen, I'm very, very fascinated with Detroit. When the crash first hit, and I remember a good friend of mine worked in, and I won't take too much time on this story, but she worked in acquisitions for a company that acquired properties. And she called me one day. She's like, Tim, you got $400,000? I'm like, why do you ask me that? She said, man, we're selling a whole block. We got like blocks on blocks on blocks that we're just getting rid of. There's a block of houses for like, $200 over here. She's like, you can literally buy, 10, 15 houses right now because it's all under one umbrella. And now you look at what's going on in Detroit, and it's just so much has changed.
yeah.
Now I'm so fascinated by that city. And what I tell people, I always compare Detroit from an economic standpoint to Dallas, like what's going on in certain areas of Dallas where there hasn't been any development in years, a lot of plant workers, a lot of people that work, just basic blue collar jobs. And now these areas are starting to turn over. And, Oak Cliff, South Dallas, East Dallas, Pleasant Grove, where I'm from, West Dallas, so, and it reminds me a lot of what we saw in 2005 with Detroit. And now you have people, I got a lot of friends from Detroit. They say, Tim, I kicked myself in the butt that I missed out on all this opportunity because there were so many houses near downtown that just went for pennies on the dollar. And now that area is totally being redeveloped. So yeah. But shout out to the other D-town. But we the big
Well, listen, the man on the news said the big D. Okay. So I just said, all right, that's official. Part of what always fascinates me about Detroit when people are like, I don't understand why people are buying there. And I go, according to the IRS and the CDC, like 88% of us live 1 hour from our mother.
Yeah.
So just do the math. Like you could say, man, Detroit's falling apart, but there's gonna be a huge contingent of people like my mama's there, my daddy's there, my brother and sister. I'm gonna be there. Just like when I worked in apartments here in Austin, people would be like, yeah, I moved from California. End of the year, things didn't go right or they didn't keep their job. Yeah, I'm going back to California. I'd be like, why? My mama there, my daddy there. Yeah, it matters.
I was just having this conversation about relocating. The reason that I've been in Dallas so long is because this is where my family is. I've always wanted to live somewhere else just to kind of experience it. And now I have a sibling who's doing exactly that. Once she hit 45, I think she turned 42 or 43, she left Dallas altogether, went to the East Coast and loves it.
Yeah, she's gone. Listen, she go to DC, she ain't coming back. If she go to DC, she gone. You can't get them back from DC.
She's not in Florida. We can't get her back. I mean, she's always.
You ain't gonna get her back from Florida.
She ain't coming back. But let's talk about Dallas. What you want to know?
So here's the thing about Dallas, and thank y'all in here. Definitely hit a one and hit the like button. So here's the thing about Dallas. I signed up for a bunch of wholesalers. Now, sometimes they sign you up and sometimes you get them, right? And I see properties flying off the shelf in Dallas. I mean, Arlington, you name it. And then I see neighboring neighborhoods, Frisco, Prosper, all these places are just flying off the shelf. I saw a guy say in the video, they had 20 offers on a house. And this other guy's renting, and he says he get 20 applications on a regular.
Yeah.
What's the view on Dallas? Are people going to be able to move there? Is it going to be affordable? Like, give us your good breakdown on Dallas right now.
That's such a good question. So Dallas is changing a lot. I want to log in so I can see the chat in case people have questions and stuff like that. There's so much change here. For you mentioned it earlier. You said I was a city councilman. I'm not a city councilman. I'm on the zoning commission, which is a pretty unique place to be on. I'll be honest with you. But the beauty of that position is that, when I was asked if I wanted to do this position, I was told that I would be a part of a group of people who would essentially be shaping the face of Dallas for years to come. Right.
So you're a planning commission.
So the city planning commission is the committee. And I'm a zoning commissioner. So I'm an actual zoning commissioner. They refer to me as Commissioner Jackson, right?
Commissioner Jackson.
Class, we had our session yesterday for 10. They tend to run on, for about 10 to 11 hours, depending on the day, because you have to go down to City Hall and people come and present cases and things of that nature. We do it on Zoom now. But I'm saying that to say this. I just did a tour of a property here in South Dallas. And this guy has such a great vision. You know, he's trying to bring up an entertainment venue to South Dallas, and he's starting it with a restaurant. And he owns this property. He's really trying to bring so much more to the city. But what you find is that in my zone particularly, they, you know, in a lot of Black neighborhoods, highways were run through our neighborhoods to kind of split up and to reduce the value. And now you're seeing, particularly in my area, where they're pulling up a highway because they created a new bridge. And now that highway that ran straight through a neighborhood is now a street that leads you straight to downtown. And if you stand on the street, you see this beautiful view of downtown Dallas, right? So with a beautiful view of downtown Dallas, what is that going to create? That's going to create opportunity, and people are going to want to develop. And there's nothing wrong with that development, but you have to also know the history of that development, right? You have to know why this area is the way it is and how it got that way. But let's talk about Dallas as a whole in general. There's a shortage of inventory all throughout the city. We went to show some houses the other day, and there was a line of people waiting. Every house that I put on the market in the last 60 days is only staying on the market for a day or two. And it doesn't matter if that house is a $200,000 house or a $400,000 house. It's not staying on the market much longer, right? And then you have areas like South Dallas, East Dallas, West Dallas that are literally centrally located near downtown, that you're starting to see the values change because people are wanting to come in and redevelop, right? But what does that redevelopment look like? Well, honestly, you said at the beginning of our call when we were chatting, you said, you know, there's deals that you've missed out on because there's just people with a lot more money than you, right?
Yeah.
What I try to explain to people so often in these communities, or in our communities, I'm going to say these communities, in our communities, is that you own grandma's house. Like, if you really want to see change, keep that house, right? Because what's going to happen is that someone else is going to come and buy that house.
Cut that front yard.
They're going to tear it down, build something new. And listen, I'm not totally opposed to that in certain situations, but too often we'll say, well, there's not development in our areas and we're selling our stuff off. And sometimes we have to sell it off because we just can't afford to live there. But what happens is when new development comes and they start building around you, that's going to increase your tax value, which is going to, or your tax bill, which is going to put you in a bind to be able to purchase, right? Or to be able to afford it. And that's how a lot of people get flushed out. So Dallas is no different than any other city. That's happening here. It's happening at a rapid rate. You know, sat on hearings yesterday, and these are public hearings, so you guys can always go to cityhall.com or cityofdallas.com and watch this stuff. But I mean, people are
say that part again. Say that part again.
Oh, this is public, so you know I'm not giving y'all any insider information, right? You can always go watch these hearings online in your city or in my city. I think it's cityofdallas.org, or if you just Google City of Dallas, you know, they have their own TV network where you can watch stuff. But the point I'm making is this: the opportunity is there. You just have to be in front of it. You know, I met with a guy today who told me he owned nearly 90 homes in Dallas, in South Dallas, you know. And I said, how did you do that? He's, well, I just bought them. You know, I started off with one house, and that one house turned into another house, and another house turned into a fourplex. And before I knew it, I was just buying houses left and right. And he said, now I'm in a position to compete with some of the bigger corporations because I own so much real estate. So when you have the capital,
patches and patches.
Absolutely. So when you have the capital, then you can pursue. But our problem a lot of times is we don't have the capital, not because we don't want to have it, but because we don't really relegate our capital to where it needs to go. You know what I'm saying? Houses.
When I tell people, and this is just my philosophy on things, as long as you own the asset, you ain't never got to really sell. And I'm going to say it in this way. I know sometimes people got to sell because things are money or tight. I'll run across guys all the time with the truck issue or something. And I'm just sell the truck and start over. I'm like, baby, you got the truck. Like, whatever's going on right now, give it a minute, give it a week or two. Right. Sometimes these houses, this woman tried to sell me a house, and it was just because the AC got stolen. Right. The AC unit in the back got stolen, and there was a water leak in the thing. And I'm like, that's all, baby. You in a great location. You can, you know, something here. You know, we got to figure out something here for you to keep this property. Like, some of this is like limited, not just limited resources, but it's also limited thinking. That's all. That's all I want to say. Like, as long as you own the asset, man, you ain't got to go broke. But you muted yourself, so just in case, I don't know if you was talking to somebody.
Oh no, I just put it on mute so I could pull up the comments, and that way you wouldn't be any double feedback. Yeah,
you can always like if you watching on a laptop, I mute myself. You can push up the button.
And I'm all up. I'm all up. I'm running right now.
I got this. You ain't gotta tell
This is
me.
my first rodeo.
Nah, but so what's funny is every once in a while I'll get a bunch of wholesalers from Dallas will send me something, and I'm like, I don't know the prices up there, right? So I'll be like, Tim, what do you think about this? He'd be like, what? You just sent me this out of nowhere? So and where we're at, the 250,000 to 350,000 is the most competitive 2030 offers here in Austin. What's the price point up there in Dallas that's the most competitive?
Most competitive price point right now is 250. If you're buying something in the 250 range, you got to come hard. And I explain that to people, and to the average homeowner who is doing an FHA loan and doesn't have a lot of money down. It's just a struggle right now, not because they're bad people, but because the market is so competitive. You'll get someone who comes in with cash and says, "Well, I can pay 260 for this." And you have an FHA loan. The loan, the appraiser has to agree with the price. So if you try to offer any more than what the house is worth, you're going to lose it because their financing won't allow that, right? So then you get people who, it's okay, we got 250, we got 260 in cash. People are taking money out of their investment account
Right.
and buying up properties left and right. So 250 is definitely that mark. Once you get to 300, it starts to kind of slow down. But depending on where it's at, like if you're up north, Plano, Frisco, you're not going to get $1,000 easily. And even we just sold a house in Arlington in an older, undeveloped area where the homes were built in the 50s. And I sold that house as a wooden house for $200,000. You see what I'm saying? And I always, it's funny when I have these conversations with my older relatives, particularly my mother. She says, I would never pay that much money for that house. And I said, well, Mom, you paid $90,000 at 10%. So essentially you did pay that much for the house. You know what I'm saying?
You
So we just
did.
got to learn the game. We just got to learn it. We'll be all right.
Well, and here too, I think we get stuck in, it used to be this much over here, right? Like that's the number one thing I hear from people, especially in Austin. Well, it used to be $80,000 for these houses, and y'all paying 400 grand. That's stupid. Is it stupid? Right? So you're like, it depends on who you are. Like in the neighborhood we lived in off Runberg, my roommate bought the house for 280, and a year and a half later she sold it for 400,000. You talk to the black neighbors over there, like, hey, why y'all ain't selling? You've been here 30 years. Where would we go? And so
that's a real question right there. That's a real question. And a lot of people don't have a place to go. So then when you have the redevelopment, and it's like, I think a lot of times we can sit back from the co-pilot seat and make assumptions as to why a person's in a situation that they're in or not. For example, I had to meet with some people in the community about redevelopment. There was a person who wanted to apply to build multifamily in a single family area. And everyone that came out in opposition, they were older black people. They all owned their homes. They were retired. And I just couldn't get the applicant to understand their frustration. And he's like, well, we have a housing shortage. I'm trying to better this community, all this crime. And I had to explain to him, the people that are here complaining, they're not the ones committing the crime. They're the ones who've been here for 50 or 60 years. This is their community. So they should have an input. And he just, the applicant just couldn't see their point or our point. And eventually
an apartment.
He was trying to build a couple of fourplexes, which sounds good as an investor, but you have to understand there's also a community dynamic to it as well. You can't go to the north side of town and just throw up something in an established neighborhood. They're not going to do it. So you can't come to the south side of town and expect that as well. And too often when our people stand up and say, well, you shouldn't be doing this, you're trying to run us off, then they get called, lazy, or they're told that they're criminal, or they're a part of the problem that's going on. That's not the case. The case is they've been in that community for 40, 50 years, 60 years in some cases, and they just want a place to call home, and there's nothing wrong with a person feeling that way. Well, on the flip side, as investors, like you and myself, we have to have integrity when we come into these areas to improve them, because what's an improvement to my bottom line may not be an improvement to their community.
Right.
Essentially, could be setting them up to be kicked out. You see what I'm saying?
Right. So and even walking trails, all kind of stuff. I remember they were trying to put walking trails in this neighborhood, and the people didn't want it because it was like they were going to take their front yards and not really compensate them, if that's the word I'm looking for.
That's the right word. Compensation is everything.
Like, they just going to take your front yard. We putting this sidewalk here. Get over it, right? Kind of thing. Now, I went down to Deep Ellum. And on a Sunday, and it was a Sunday fun day. It was a vibe. I was laughing because it was Martin Luther King and Malcolm X Street, but it was there was plenty of us there that day and there the night before. But when I talk to people about the Deep Ellum area, they're like, we don't live over there no more. Is that true or is that not true?
Well, Deep Ellum is an interesting neighborhood. Deep Ellum, part of it falls in my district, so it's well, the very bottom part of it kind of bleeds into Deep Ellum. But it's an interesting area because it's a neighborhood, if you will. There's a lot of bars, taverns, and things of that nature there. That's what it's known for. But within the past 5 to 6 years, you've seen an influx of residential, particularly apartments. There's a lot of high rises. There are a few high rises that have been built there, and naturally, it attracts the younger millennials, if you will, by default, because it's just a good place to, you want to live and where you play and play where you live, right?
Ride your scooter around the corner,
Scooter around, right? But here's the thing, though. And I don't want to beat up on anyone too bad, but we always know that there's an opportunity for us to take advantage of growth, but we apply haste and we won't do it. And then when someone else comes to do it, sometimes we cry foul. Right. So Deep Ellum wasn't a place where people just lived like that, over the past 20 years. But now it's becoming a residential mecca, if you will, because of the proximity to downtown. So you got to ask yourself, what are we doing to retain the wealth that we have? And how are we working together collectively to make sure that that wealth is distributed properly? And that's where we always tend to fall short.
And here's something, and I see you guys' comments. Somebody asked, how can they come work for you?
You don't work for me. You don't work for me. I'm hard to work for.
Tim, over there, that office. You don't want that.
It's so funny. I always tell people, if anybody who knows me is watching this, I was always taught, don't meet your heroes, right? Because then once you start getting around people, you realize they're human just like you, and they're not as perfect. And a lot of times, every time I've employed a lot of people, particularly from my community, and I get the same feedback from all of them, like, man, Tim, you're a different person when it comes to work. It's because when it comes to that money, when it comes to, operating a certain kind of way, you have to be, you got to be legit, especially if you're a black man, so I turn off all the funny stuff and all the joking and stuff. And I get down to, the meat and potatoes, and a lot of people don't like work, Tim. So if you want to come work for me, just make sure you have some thick skin. All right. Because Eric, you've been in my office. I run a tight ship.
Listen, Tim, you can sit over that corner over there. Ericka, sit over there. Now, I'll put it to you this way. I've had lots
knocking your pay. No,
I've had a lot of workers, and the one, I say two of them knew me personally. But out of one of the two, she had to bounce. She didn't like it. She was like, "Oh, you're different." I'm like, "Yeah, because we got to make phone calls here. We got to do emails.
We make it look easy," and that's another thing. And I hope we can talk about this if I'm going too off the deep end, reel me in. But a lot of times, we as a people don't appreciate the work that comes with it. Collectively, or at least that's the impression. There's a lot of work. Everyone online is selling you get rich quick. You can make this money, but the people that I follow, you and other people like, that deal with the trucks and things of that nature and investments, that's slow money that's going to build you wealth. You see what I'm saying? You're going to make a little money off of it. Let's not get it twisted. When we had trucks, it was a bill for us, right?
Listen, it can be a bill.
But we didn't follow. We went a different route, though, right? So I didn't have the blueprint that you guys sell when I did it, right? So my first experience with trucks was making a $3,000 a month payment during the worst time of the year to buy a truck, which is December. Nobody told me that, right? So I say that to say this: when you're going into something like real estate and when you're looking to invest, do your research, do your homework. Understand it's not going to be pretty all the time. There's going to be some bumps in the road. Like you said, a person wanted to sell a house because they had a plumbing issue or whatever it was. We just recently had to redo our plumbing. It was a $30,000 job. You know what I'm saying? On an older house, So that happens, right? And then we had a tenant inside, right? So we had to put the tenant up in a hotel. At one point in the game, we had to get a porta potty. And this work happened the day before Christmas Eve is when the problem took place, right? So just imagine that it's an hour before Christmas, 7 o'clock on the 23rd. And I get a call that the plumbing is messed up, right? That's a part of the game, and as long as you can plan for that stuff financially, then you're good. But a lot of times we get into it and we don't have the funds for the oh crap moment, and then it goes.
Yeah. I'm still trying to. I wrote it down. Don't meet your heroes. Listen, I'm telling you, like, It's
Somebody said, Tam said, everybody wants it fast, but sometimes things take years. Tam, listen, like that's the realest thing I've seen. Like it takes years to build wealth. Ericka, people thought Ericka was crazy 5 years ago when she was posting these classy climb videos and getting 10 to 15 likes. Now, this is a wave because of the consistency, right? So we have to know going into any investment that there's going to be a wave that comes with it, but you're going to have to bust your butt, and then it's going to essentially materialize, and it'll happen overnight in some cases. But it's not an overnight win. It's you working countlessly until that overnight opportunity presents itself. You know.
By the time you see somebody, they've been working on it for 2-3 years. Is what I tell people. By the time
Exactly.
you're like, oh, okay, what's up? Like even when so people have been seeing me do 2021 is mostly real estate and land development kind of for me for this year. And people will be like, oh, you're just gonna buy a business off somebody. I'm like, yeah, but that person's business been going for years. And now for me to take it over, I still have to use the same systems and keep going. And people kind of miss like that part of the story. Like you don't just come take over something and just now you just cash out lottery. That's not really how it works.
It's not how it works. Somebody said Deep Element Dallas is like the French Quarter in NOLA or a little 5 points. Yeah, it's like the only difference here. We can't drink outside. We can't walk around and drink. But that's the exact vibe.
That's have that traffic.
Yeah. But in Texas, you can't do that. You can't walk around with alcohol in Texas.
Listen, if they shut that road down, it'd be like Austin walking down the street. It's water, sir. It's Gatorade. Part of what I want people to understand is, and something I hear a lot too, is a lot of women, I'm gonna move to Atlanta and be a realtor. I'm gonna move to Dallas and be a realtor. Explain to them a little bit of that realtor game that is not just being pretty on Instagram. And
so I'm glad you asked me that. So didn't I get in trouble with you before? The last interview you did, you asked me about wholesaling and people got mad at me, right? So I'm sure I'm gonna probably upset some people with this, but let me keep it real with you guys. And shout out to my people in the chat from VA. I mean, my wife actually been looking at Norfolk and Virginia, different areas.
Get up out of there.
So I got to get out that way. But listen, the real estate game. You guys remember when the economy crashed back in 04, 05, 06? There were a lot of people getting into education. You saw people leaving banking. You saw people leaving the corporate and becoming teachers. Why is that? Because they saw an opportunity. They said, well, in a bad economy, teachers will always have a job. And see, my wife is an educator, and we talk about this all the time. She said, these are the people who don't really love the craft, but they need to make that check, right? And so you saw an influx of teachers, right? And then you start seeing kind of fizzle down when the economy came back. People started leaving the profession, and then it started dying off. That's what real estate is. When I got into real estate back in 04, 05, having a real estate license was like, having a golden ticket, and it wasn't the easiest thing to get, But now real estate license is like, it's like they come a dime a dozen. And what happens is you get a lot of people that see the glamour in real estate. They see, oh, this guy sold a $300,000 house and he made $9,000 on it. Like in their mind, we get a client. The client calls us. They say they want to buy a $300,000 house. We meet them at the house. We show them the house. They love it. They make an offer. The very first offer is accepted. And 30 days later, they get a $9,000 check and then they rinse and repeat. That's not how it works. There's so much that goes into that process, even after you get the house under contract, that a lot of people just don't understand. And that's why real estate is a revolving door. I've heard the term, you have a third of the people coming into real estate, a third of the people who are actually working, and a third of the people who are leaving real estate, right? So in 15, 16 years, I've literally done deals with the same people over and over because there's so many people that come in and out. You understand? So my advice to anyone getting a real estate license, if we're going to keep it a buck, is treat it like a full-time job, not like a thing, because them thing people, they're killing the game. They're hurting the game right now. They come in and they don't know how to cold call, or they don't know how to close a deal. So they reduce their value. So instead of charging this rate, they'll charge this extremely low rate. And then people take advantage of you when you do that. And then they set a precedent for everyone else, and it just becomes really muddy. So that's one of the reasons why, from a sales standpoint, I've been really looking like, is this something I want to be doing for the next,
At the point that when I was down here in Austin, I got my real estate license, I'm like, yeah. And I was doing apartment locator. I'm like, but then I was like, this is a sales job. And this is what people don't really understand, that this is a sales job. You're going to be calling daily. You're going to be following up, following up, following up. And for me, just keeping it 100, I'm an inbound marketing person. I like people to come to me, right? I want I want to send an email out and people come to me. And that's when I knew, when I was talking to somebody in the office, they're like, well, honey, either you need to be a listings or you need to hire somebody to do all this other stuff for you. And of course, you don't got that money to do that. So then, and that's why people do those teams, right? Because everybody on the team ain't doing the same thing. But yeah, that Gary Keller, the shift book, and also the one thing, I was like, it's spot on. It's spot on. People get excited about being a real estate agent because they think that means dressing up nicely and driving your car and showing a house. They forget the whole other part of sales. That
you get the grind, the sales. My wife, I'll never forget my wife when she first came and started working with me, because she's an educator. So during the summers, you know, she helped me out, right? And she even helps me out now. But I'll never forget that first day she came to my office and worked, and she said, I cannot believe that you have to do all of this for one transaction. This is a good transaction. This is one of the open and shut cases, right?
Yeah.
But there's so much stuff. There's so much things that you need to learn, negotiations. And also, anybody listening to this, whether it's real estate or anything, your inner circle, your friends and family, they're not going to be the ones that's going to get you there, right? You got to step out. I've gotten probably more referrals from Ericka than I've gotten from family members, right? It just is what it is. People don't see you as a professional. They see me as Timmy, right?
15-year-old Tim.
Right? Yeah. And it takes for me to, now, it's people that have known me in the game for 16 years that I love my family. Now they're starting to say, you really doing this real estate thing, right? And it's like, well, yeah, I guess I am, right? Because I had to get validated. I guess you're seeing me, right? So for those who are coming into the game, like, go meet new people and grind, but don't expect for the people closest to you to get you where you're trying to get.
And so, and part of what I think we have such a bad connotation on the word sales and being a salesman or a saleswoman. That's what happens. People get real mad when they get in real estate. Like, oh, you use somebody else. Like, does your family see you day in and day out doing this? Then they ain't going to use you, right? They're not. They still gonna have somebody else.
Borderline annoying, right? It's got to be one of them things where, they gotta. What I would suggest somebody doing is somebody save your number, your family member, tell them change the name in your phone to such and such realtor or such and such agent. So every time they look at that name, even on a text message, subconsciously they think of you as that way. Like it's a lot of deep stuff you got to do to really get people to see your worth, particularly the ones closest to you. But the real estate market is good here. Agents are making money. The ones that I'm seeing that's struggling are the ones that are afraid to get out there and get their hands dirty.
I would say one of the best things I saw in Austin was we had several of our friends in the Christian young singles groups. You got a bunch of people 20 to 40 years old. They dating, they moving, they want to buy a house, and we had like 3 people who were agents, and they just cleaned up in all those groups, right? Yeah. And then when they were done selling in those groups, it's like they didn't have anybody else to sell to. So it's like they had a great 2-year career, and then it was like, hey, well, how's it going? Man, it's a struggle this year. And so you do really have to market yourself. People don't understand that part.
And they need to understand also that we don't talk about a lot when we have these conversations, is that debt is a deal breaker. You know what I'm saying? Like, people need to understand, if you're really trying to get out there and put yourself in a position, whether it's to buy a house, to buy a truck, to start a business, you can't get ahead if you got a bunch of debt. And we don't really talk about it enough in our community. A lot of times I can't tell you all how many people come to me on a monthly basis like, Tim, I want to buy a new house. And we sit down and we look at their numbers and everything. And I said, well, damn, you just bought a new car. The car is $600 a month. That's going to take away from your debt to income ratio, right? So now you can't buy another house unless you make another extra $600 a month, or you get rid of that car. You can't buy another house. You see what I'm saying? Unless you bring somebody in on the deal. And that's the number one conversation I have. Like, the people that come back to me with no debt. I got a client, he literally has no debt. In the last 5 years, he bought a house for 120, ended up selling it for 205, had 2 roommates in the house. So he was taking their $900 a month, applying it to the principal. So he ended up walking away with like $100,000. Then he goes and buys another house in a great area in Dallas near White Rock Lake. That's like top prime real estate for like $200,000 because it needed over $100,000, about $70,000 worth of work. But he knows people that do the work. I saw somebody that told me, Tim, you need to hug a plumber, right? He knows plumbers. He knows carpenters. He knows these people. So he's able to go in there and buy it because he doesn't have a car note. He doesn't have debt, right?
Mm-hmm.
We need to put ourselves in a position where we start eliminating our debt. If we can eliminate our debt, we could do so much more, because when opportunity comes about, we can either A, have the cash on hand, or B, have the debt to income ratio to obtain a loan, a short-term loan, because we want to get that mug paid off fast so that we can acquire it. All it takes is that one acquisition, you guys. One acquisition can change your entire life. One acquisition changed my life, okay? Literally, me and my wife flipped the house, and that changed our life, okay?
Yeah.
So that's all it takes. But we were able to do that because we had no debt. Her car was paid off. I didn't have a car note. So that's $1,200 a month right there. You see what I'm saying? And so,
listen,
yeah.
A little stat that, because when you just said about that one transaction can change your life, 45% of our GDP is construction, real estate, and healthcare, but it's only 6% of stocks, the stock market. Right. What people don't understand is, like, when you talk about old money, big money, consistent money, you're talking about real estate, you're talking about you know what I'm saying? It's just like whether you either fixing a house or you selling and buying the houses or you owning the houses. And people kind of miss that whole part of real estate. Really long term is where the money at. I mean, we got a $30 trillion wealth transfer over the next 8 years, and they've already said 30% of it's going to go to family offices. So
I want to say something. I see a lot of people commenting the debt, about the debt. Shout out to you guys. Mm-hmm. Right now, we're in a national, everybody's in a pandemic, right? Is that fair to say? Yep. You're interviewing me, I'm in my home right now. But I have an office.
Living your best life.
You've been to my office, right? Yeah. You've been to my office, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is my office a small office?
No. Tim got a whole floor, y'all. No, I'm almost do. He almost do.
So the point I'm making is, regardless of how the economy is, I'm still in debt. I still have to pay that rent, right? Mm-hmm. We just doubled the size of our office. You saw it before. You see it now, right?
Now he got a whole floor. He had half the floor.
Now nobody's coming into the office right now. So I'm literally having to foot that bill. I've talked to every attorney I know, and they're like, Tim, you can't really get out of this unless you file bankruptcy. because when I started my business, it was just me and my business. I was the only person, so I had to sign a personal guarantee. Where am I going with this? Where I'm going is that because I don't have debt, it's not killing me at all. And it's not really eating into my reserves either.
Speak on it.
Let me say it again, because I don't have debt, it's not killing me and it's not eating into my reserves because I've already planned for this. You see what I'm saying? So if y'all are listening to me, like if you don't listen to anything I'm saying, I'm not a money hungry person. I'm not going to sell you what we call here in Dallas. I ain't going to sell you wolf tickets and make it seem like we're doing this and doing that. If you don't listen to anything I'm saying, put yourself in a position to where you can increase your input by decreasing your output. That's what me and my wife did. I teach that concept all the time. You'll hear me say it all the time, increase by decrease, literally going through your bank account, going through your bills and saying, what can I afford to eliminate now so that I can get rid of my monthly debt? That way I can start to take more financial chances. And when you have that extra money, when you know you have an investment that's going to bring you $3,000 in the next month, you'll take that chance. You'll be like, oh, that's cool. We'll make it up next month. But a lot of us aren't in that position because all of our wealth that we're acquiring or that we have on paper is really debt.
Listen, he's preaching y'all. Listen, and people look at it from, so prime example, we're going to use it. So people, thank y'all for super chatting. I see your comments. We're going to go there. I see you. People, when I make fun of the passport bros, I go, oh, them passport, they trying to go overseas and live on $400 a month. But some of those guys have student loan debt. So if they just gonna make $1,000 on the internet, typing, playing around, and they can pay their $400 rent and pay their $400 student loan and still have some money to live, more power to them, right? That's a little extreme, but that's what people do. And so when you try to convince people, yeah, you want to start a new business, you want to do all that stuff, but you have child support, you have monthly mortgage payments, you have this and that. I've seen people take jobs and I've talked to them like, why are you taking this job? Mm-hmm. Because they have to, right? Mm-hmm. There was a month last year, and everybody know 2020 was kicking my butt. To go in 1 month from $192,000 to $36,000, the people at the bank was like, "Are you all right? You okay?" I said, "Listen, I'm gonna be all right. Everything's paid for."
My banker, I went in to get a new card. She was like, "How's business been?" Like, "I'm good." She was like, "You haven't really brought in." I said, "Well," she said, "but one thing I can say is that all your stuff is still, because they analyze. You have a good dealer." She's like, "You're good because you don't have any debt." She said, "That's crazy that you don't have any debt." Outside of a mortgage, but that's, if you guys remember the last video we did, we structure our life to where one income covers everything, and it's the lesser of the two incomes. So the only thing we have is our mortgage, and it'll be paid off in a couple of years, honestly. But I mean, it's so low because the way we have it financed that it's not even really anything to consider, right? But you got to understand that debt is what's going to kill you. A mortgage itself, mortgage, that's a lifelong commitment, right? You have to ask yourself, how can I put myself in a position to pay off my debt and then turn this into an asset so that it creates more assets for me? And we just got to have that conversation more. We have to.
Well, and even that plays into the whole credit conversation, because you'll talk to people and I'm like, sometimes it's not that they have bad credit, it's they have an income problem. Does that make sense? And it's like,
the moment it comes in, the moment they spend it out, right? Yeah. That was your boy. That was me buying and cars every 2 years. I had a new car every 2 years, man.
I got clients like that.
Yeah, I had that good job. I was making good money. And I sat down one day and I said, where's my money going? Like, I had the best financial year of my life and I didn't have any money. It's like, where's it going? And I had to sit down and analyze that, and that's where it was. But I know we're getting off the everyone's moving to Dallas.
No.
This is kind of some good stuff, though.
They like the conversation because they're saying they like it in the comments. But this is important because I'm going to say this also. People wanting to move to Dallas. Why do they want to move to Dallas? The debt is killing them. The debt is killing them. They can't do California. They can't do New York anymore. They're like, I got to go. I can't breathe.
I got a cousin right now in California buying a house. It's about a 1,500 square foot house. They want $300,000 for it. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not the biggest house in the world. That house here would probably be around, 200, you know what I'm saying? But he could come here with them, and get a job doing exactly what he's doing, making the exact same amount of money, and could buy something a whole lot better, right? And so people always say, I'm getting sick of these California, even you kind of joking with me, all these people from California coming in. Shoot, come on in. I have a many California clients right now. But here's the thing. For the last 5 to 7 years, I've been preaching to my people like, yo, listen, there's a house for sale for $30,000. Like, come on, man, that's a car. Like, go get this $30,000 house, hold on to it like me and my wife did. We bought a cash house for $25,000 and we held it for 2 years and just paid the taxes on it, $900 a year. That was it. And then we went in. Once we got all our money that we needed to get, then we went in and renovated, got a renter in it the next month, and it's been cash flowing. You see what I'm saying?
And the thing what people don't understand is, like, prime example, bought a super cheap property in Detroit, put the dog doors on it, which is the lock it up and everything, $350 a month for the dog's doors. Sat on it for over 2 years. Because it wasn't ready, the money wasn't ready, and it wasn't the right. Then now the neighborhood even looks different. Now I'm like, oh, okay, well now we can go back and do this. It's the ownership part that people kind of admit. Like, if you have the asset, you can sit for a minute.
That's it. Like, we held this house for 2 years. We didn't do anything with it. I wish I would have been smart enough to just keep all the letters that we got. We get about 2 letters a week.
Please.
We get about 4 calls. We paid $25,000 for that house. All right. But we bought another house for 60. Mm-hmm. Flip double the price on that, right? Like, it's there. You just got to do it. Somebody said they live in LA right now, and it's crazy. I was just in the Monterey Bay area, and everywhere I go, even if I'm just going for business or pleasure, I always pull up my app to see what the houses are looking like out there. I'm talking about $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 houses that don't even really, they're not even better than my house in Dallas. And I ain't just got no huge house, but it ain't, you know what I'm saying? It's a decent house, right? But if I were to take my house and put it in Monterey, my house would triple in value, right? We went to LA right before those riots kicked off in March, and I was in LA. It was like, man, these houses, $400,000 for, a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom, 1,500 square foot house. Like, come on to Dallas. I can put you in something nice. And I see some people here in Charlotte. I see people in here in Virginia. You guys, 10 years ago, we were talking about how cheap it was in the South. The South is catching up.
Charlotte.
You can't move to Dallas, Atlanta, and Charlotte no more and get a $200,000 mansion. It's not happening no more. You know what I'm saying?
They looking for them still, though.
And I made a post on social media. I said, in 5 years, if you don't own a house or own a piece of property in 5 years, you'll never be able to own a house. Mm-hmm. Because look at what's going on in California. People can't afford houses there. That whole system of how housing is done, that's spreading out everywhere. It's not just a California and a New York thing. It's a Dallas thing now. It's a Jacksonville problem. It's a Virginia Beach problem, right? It's a Myrtle Beach problem. Like we look at houses all over the place. I'm like, dang, they want this in Myrtle Beach, but that's the game because the interest rates are so low right now.
Prime example why I want people, and thank you,
it's crazy right now, Ericka
said. She said, please talk about what debt is to people, because I don't think people understand it. Makes up their life. It really does. Part of what I want people to understand is when you live in a town, prime example, I'm gonna tell you, in my family here, they may get on me because I said it. There is 100 acres down the way for $95,000. Now I brought it up there to my, oh, that's out there, girl. That's out. What's 30 minutes away? Ain't nobody living down there. And I'm like, but that's
we got Little Elm here. That's Little Elm. That's Little Elm out here. Like Little Elm, Forney. 10 years ago, you couldn't pay people to move to Little Elm and Forney. I'll say 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Now you can't even really get into Little Elm and Forney. It's inflated so much, right? And these are places that are 35 minutes from downtown. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. And what I try to get people to understand is land development is a conversation we got to start having. Lord Commander, I see you, baby. Don't add me. I see you. And so we got to start talking about it because, we're paying for what one house that I've seen people pay for a couple acres and then develop several houses on the same place. Listen, we got to
I didn't really understand development until I got on this commission. Mm-hmm. It's so interesting to buy land and plat. I went and met with a guy, an applicant today, who owns a couple of parcels, and he's getting ready to try to replat it. I mean, he can replat these parcels into 6 different lots. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like a good friend of mine, he bought some land outside of Dallas, and what he's doing is he's putting mobile homes on them. All right. Mm-hmm. Notice I didn't say a trailer home. Notice I didn't say he's making a trailer home, because now the mindset for mobile homes is shifting, right? Mm-hmm. Like our mindset, what happens in the Black community too often, I can only speak for the Black community. I can't speak for anybody else. If y'all don't agree with me, if it don't apply, let it fly, right? Right. But check this out. The issue with us, you guys, is that one, we wait too late to get on stuff. By the time we get on it, we paying retail prices, right?
Our neighbor beside us is Rebecca from a whole nother, you got her stroller jogging in the neighborhood. You're like, well, maybe I should buy some stuff around here.
Yeah.
Like, too late.
It's too late, right? We gotta understand the game. Somebody told me, you know me, I'm a little bit more of I like to poke the bear. I'm an accountability guy. I call out things that need to be called out all the time as it relates to our people being mistreated and disenfranchised. But I also call out the stuff we need to do better too, right? And depending on the crowd, when I'm talking about, one subject, people love it. But then when I say, but we got to do this, it's like people don't want to hear that, right? Man, we have to do better as it relates to putting ourselves in a situation to where we can buy a house. I tell my clients here all the time, especially my single clients, buy that house in the hood right now. Like you grew up in an area, so you don't see the value, right? Mm-hmm. If this is who you are, if I'm from Dallas and I'm from the Grove and I went to this school in the hood, the average person over there, they don't see the value in that because that's what they know. I was always taught if you have money, you move to Plano, you move to Frisco, right? So when I got my money, what do you think I did? I moved to Plano, right? But then when I got out there, I realized, I can't really make any money out here. And secondly, I'm too far away from what I know, what I'm used to. And thirdly, there's so many opportunities that my people are missing out on. I need to get back to the hood, right? Mm-hmm. And so I literally picked up my business, picked up my life, and came back to Dallas, right? Mm-hmm. Because my thing is, I see so many opportunities, and I get sick of our people saying, well, nobody's teaching us, so I try to alleviate that excuse. So now you got the game. What are you going to do with it, right? And y'all need to. We did the $10,000 challenge last year, where you save up 10 grand. Yeah. Me and a handful of people, we all saved up 10 grand in 1 year. So now we can take that 50 or 40 grand and go buy a piece of property and put it under a business name and cash flow. It don't take much for you all to do that, right? Mm-hmm. It doesn't take much. If you don't know somebody that can fix something, go on one of those good contractor lists or one of those trusted contractor lists and close your eyes and throw a dart at the board and pick somebody and get it moving. Like, stop being afraid to do it, because you're going to learn more through your mistakes than you'll ever learn through your assumptions.
Woo.
You know what I'm saying? You'll learn more through your mistakes than you'll ever learn through your assumptions.
And here's the thing. Even if you mess up, people will still want to work with you. because at least you did it. Because we have
Integrity.
99% of our people won't, not just our people, but people in general in America are like, well, I'm thinking about it. I don't know. I'm looking at it. And by the time you get in a room of action
Somebody
takers,
said my house was in the hood until a few years ago.
there you go.
Strollers everywhere now, right?
Everywhere.
So like where I live at, I always tell people where I live at. Can you hear me, Ericka?
Yeah.
I saw a comment that said my house is in the hood until 3 years ago. I always tell people where I live at in East Dallas, I'm surrounded, like this area is such a unique melting pot. You know, literally you can throw a rock and you have low income apartments. You can throw a rock and you have a gated community. You can throw a rock and you have, you know, a high performing, you know, school. And then you can throw a rock and you have a low performing school. Like it's the ultimate melting pot, right?
Right.
5 minutes from downtown. Like my man up there said, he used to live in a house that was in the hood. Now it's not. The house that we bought in South Dallas is the hood. No, it's not. They have a brand new Baylor medical facility there. It's walking distance from the, it's right next to the State Fair of Texas. Like this is a lick. And we only paid $25 for it. That's a Honda Civic. You understand what I'm saying? That's a 4-year note on a Honda Civic. Like we got to shift up this game and start seeing our communities as the jewels that they are and start reinvesting and redeveloping them, because the only alternative is to cry foul and say somebody else is taking it.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. Something I've heard a lot, Tim, is I'll say, well, you guys, you can go out and you can buy something today. Well, Ericka, redlining, they've been blocking us out of everything. And this is what I say. This is what I say.
Where's the world's tiniest violin? Of course. You know it. Like, okay, we acknowledge that. Like, come on, man. Like, come on, listen. Anybody who doesn't, if this is your first time seeing me, shout out to, you know, you guys. I always love talking to Ericka, but listen, you all, like at some point in the game, like my background is in history. I got my master's in history. I love it so much, right? And I had to study the African diaspora, right? African American diaspora, essentially where we went, you know, where we dispersed.
Some
right?
of us was already here, but I'm just gonna go ahead. Yeah.
No. I'm not talking about from Africa. I'm talking about Black people in the United States during the 40s and 50s. We had this great, you know, mass exodus, right? We were going from the south to the north, right? The Great Migration is what they call it, right? So I had an opportunity to study that. And you guys, yes, we got redlined. Yes, we got put in certain areas. Yes, all of that happened. Yes, like somebody on here put on here, you can only learn so much from YouTube. You can get all the knowledge you want from YouTube, right? And we can learn our history. But the only way to ensure that history doesn't repeat itself is to inform ourselves on how to be owners and to own what it is that we're pursuing, right? I always tell people, and I know this is a statistic I probably can't prove anywhere, but you know, you rarely see homeowners, you know, being disenfranchised, you know, in the news, if that makes any sense, right? You rarely see people who own property, who have assets, being mistreated by their government or being mistreated by people locally, because the onus is, well, if they own property, then they probably can afford an attorney. You see what I'm saying? Right? People don't come after people they come after sitting ducks who are waiting for the government or waiting for other people to help you. They don't come after the people that's making the moves. And we gotta start learning how to say, yes, they redlined us, but I won't let it happen again, because I am going to buy properties in these areas to control, you know, what this area looks like. I'll own so much and I'll become the bank. I'll buy the property. I'll do the renovations and I can sell it back to somebody, you know, on an owner finance. Now I'm the bank. You can't redline a person if you're the bank. You understand what I'm saying? And that is so feasible. It's so obtainable, but we either get too afraid to do it or we let people talk us out of it. People who've never experienced it, never done their life, they say it's a bad idea. We got to get up off of that.
So the funniest part about that is I was going to do a whole sentence, but Tim was like, no. I was going to say that when I say that to people, I go, Tim, what have you been doing the past 5 years?
5 years.
I'm like, okay, well, we've already understood that. But now that you know that, what have you been doing the past 5 years? And it always goes to a skill. Well, I might be moving. I might be going over there. I might be doing this. And I got that. And so the goalpost always moves when you really challenge them on, you know, why, right? Okay, well, now that you know that, what you doing about it next year? What are you doing about the next 24 months? And so to me, it's a moving goalpost is what I was trying to say. Is like, because I can ask you, what's your credit look like now? Let's go do something now. And they're like, oh, well, I don't want to be over there. I don't want to do this. And so it's a That question bugs me. Now, Lord Commander, thank you for your super chat. I'm going to read it because that's the style of the show. I refuse to pay an agent if I have to find my own house. I just need them to open up the house so I can see it. I refuse to pay them $15K for nothing. And so, Lord Commander, I saw it. Thank you for supporting the channel. My biggest thing I tell people is if you want to sit all day and night scounging the internets for houses that I see some of my friends do, go for it, because they're usually on an inside track. And here's my conversation with that. I think we talked about it last time about wholesalers. People think, hey, everything's falling. We in a recession. People going to come find me and give me a deal. No, the person who got the deal, the wholesaler, they're going to give it to their list of friends. And their list of friends are going to give it to their list of friends. And by the time you get it, it's not a deal.
I see a couple comments too I want to address. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But all that started from one person taking a chance and getting out there and meeting the right people. And let me tell you something. Some of the most loyal people to you will be your contractors. If you can meet a good contractor, they'll be loyal to you because they need to work just like you need to work. And you're the plug if you have a house. You know what I'm saying? Like, you are the plug. So, I saw somebody say Dallas was zoned differently. Dallas is a unique place because Dallas, our zoning doesn't allow for certain things. Like if you go to Houston, I'll pick on Houston.
It's a wild house.
You can go to the 3rd Ward in Houston. That's where my people are at. Mm-hmm. You can have, on McGregor, I'll just pick on McGregor Street. You got McGregor take you around the TSU. You got huge houses on McGregor, right next to the liquor store, right next to a church, right next to, you know what I'm saying? Right? You see this in Miami too. Whereas in Dallas, it's not like that. You can't be zoned next to something else. If you have a liquor store, it has to be over here. If you have a church, you can't put something within so much feet of that church. But here's the thing: where I'm at in my zone, District 7, we have different planned development districts. So like even within those districts, you can't even park, right? And a lot of stuff was designed to keep certain businesses out, but it did so much damage to people who want to come in now that they're considering changing. Like, I understand what it was for, and it worked. It did its job. It got rid of we had hundreds of liquor establishments in our community. That's all you had. Yeah. We were down to maybe 10 or 11 in this area. But a lot of times what happens is that legislation can cause zoning to impact other people. Like the person I met with today, he's like, well, I got to have so many parking spaces, so I can't call it this. I have to call it that, right? So as long as you get into the game and learn this stuff and just watch and peep game, you can make some moves on your own. And don't be afraid to go out there and fail. Make that mistake. You see what I'm saying? Because I promise you, once you make that mistake, they got to give you the answer. Now you know how not to make the mistake. Now you can charge people to show them how not to make that mistake. You see what I'm saying? So many different ways.
I see some good comments, but I'm gonna bring this up. I don't know if you saw my Philly video where I was like, it's over Philly, right? It's a bunch of county commissioner stuff, but the key part is 2 brothers, they are Black, sold their grandmama's lot. Like there's no house on the house, burnt down, it's vacant. Mm-hmm. Vacant lot in Philly for $6 grand. Now, here's the problem. They ain't live in Philly. They ain't been there in 10, 12 years. Houses are selling for $450,000 in that area. So the wholesaler they sold it to, brother, he sold to somebody else for $50,000 a day, 3 days later. 3 days later, 3 days later, that guy sold it to somebody else for $100,000. Why? Because the way the corner was of the lot, they were able to build even bigger than the normal for that neighborhood. Now, my problem is people are like, well, Ericka, that they picked on them poor brothers. They took advantage of them Black people. And I'm like, how? At some point, we have to say those brothers, if they don't live in that city anymore, all they had to do was call somebody over here.
Somebody, man, pull up an app. And you know what? I'm gonna piggyback on that, man. A lot of people either love me or hate me for this type of stuff. But here's my thing, man. If we can do the Busted Challenge, if we can do all this extra, listen, man, if y'all don't know me, I'm from the Grove. Let me give y'all a
wait, I was sipping that coffee.
I'm from the Grove, man. Like, this is your boy. I can move in a lot of different circles. Like, I don't think I'm one of them better uppity Black folks by any stretch of imagination. Uppity Black folks don't like me. Hood Black folks don't like me a lot of times. So, I can move in any circle, but I get pushed back from a lot when I start talking accountability, all right? But if we can do the Busted Challenge, if we can flex on people and get new cars every other year, or, we want to show off our new bags, which ain't nothing wrong with that. Mm-hmm. If we can do that, then we can learn how to obtain and acquire wealth. You know what I'm saying? Like, too often the conversation with Black people is what the white man has done to us. And let's not get it twisted. you know, white supremacy is a tool. It's a system. All right. I would never, ever not say that. So how do we sit back and say, okay, well, this is how I'm going to address this economically? Because the economics in the game is what's going to get you out of your situation. But I was that dude. I had a new car every other year, you know, $600 a month car notes and stuff like that, and the nice watches and stuff like that. And then I'm looking back like, you know, what am I gaining from flexing on people? I need to start figuring out a way to start showing people how they can financially flex on other people. You understand what I'm saying? And that's when the mindset shifted. But a lot of people are stuck in that, you know, that what I call that look what I got mode. That was one of my favorite songs back in my heyday. T.I., look what I got. Old school is fucking the drop. You know what I'm saying? That was my jam, right? You know what I'm saying? Got well known in the hood like the dope man phone number, right? Mm-hmm. That was me. I would put that song on, you know, my nice little car road through.
I ain't never heard that song in my life, but I'm gonna Google it.
It's all good, right? It's all good. I don't want to color this up too much for you. You know, I know a lot of your guests are a lot more, you know, more well than me. You know, I got a little bit, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
I gotta be authentic, right? But the point I'm making is we can't keep making excuses for not taking advantage of opportunities, right? Because when we want something, we'll get that bread.
Oh,
when we want something, if we want to take a trip, we're gonna find that bread.
We want to go. Look, you ever seen teachers when they want to go to Miami or somewhere? They work in all kind of jobs in the summer, and then they
Hey man, my wife is such a hustler, man. And when she's not working in the summer, she's showing houses. She said, "I got places to go, things to see. You know, people see things to do." You dig? But the point is, we got to get out of that mindset of we can't do this just because. No, the dude I met with today is from East Africa. He's just over 40. I asked him, you know, tell me your story. He said, man, I came here in my 20s, worked with my uncle at a gas station, took the money that I had and bought my first little, you know, house over here in South Dallas. And I'm not gonna put words into his mouth and say how much he paid, but knowing the market when he bought that house, he probably paid about $10,000 or $15,000. Okay. He said, and I just kept going from there. Like, that's somebody who's coming in here not knowing that this is the hood, not knowing that this opportunity shouldn't be for people like him. No, it is his opportunity. It's an opportunity to make some money. So we got to get out of that mindset of saying, oh, well, look what this person doing for me. We got to quit relying on politicians. We got to quit relying on people like that. And I know that sounds weird coming from somebody who's an appointed official, but you know, at the end of the day, I'm not a politician. I'm a person that's looking out for my community. You understand what I'm saying? So let's get to the business. Let's figure out how we can get inside these meetings. And I have a community meeting every 2 weeks about zoning. Ask me how many people show up to that.
Man.
And I'm not knocking nobody. But I'm just but the day of but when a big case comes up and there's a hearing, then I get people from the neighborhood. Well, nobody told us. That's not true. Because I know
it's like you need me to come knock on your door and tell you something happened. And so, you know what that is? What we're talking about is proactive versus reactive. And I talk about this in Austin, and there's some really good comments. People saying they preaching, they clapping in their house for you. You cracking them up. When I look at Austin and I talk to people, the white people that were low income was like, oh, I saw the writing on the wall, so I moved here, or I moved. We're USDA money, USDA loans, where I had no money down,
financing, zero down. I be telling my people, hey, come on here and get on this USDA. Nobody want
it's far out there. That's out there.
Now that's an extension of Dallas.
And you can't get out there because you really got to bring your money down. So I'll talk to people and I'll be like, hey, you come out here, no money down. But you meet white people, poor white people out of Austin who moved to Round Rock when it was cheap, moved to Hutto, all these places before it got more expensive. And then you see the black people going, man, they got us out of there. And whenever I hear that, I always go, that's reactive and not proactive. You weren't planning to move. You weren't planning your next 5 years because all of a sudden it shocked you. You looked up and noticed the neighborhood was different. That's not how that happens.
It's not how that happened, man.
How that happened.
Reconstruction in an area is like, it's like a disease. Like you have symptoms that are showing you up until you have to go to the doctor, right? Like I said, I grew up in Dallas my whole life. There's an area in Dallas called Uptown. Uptown was the projects, y'all. Like, I'm not joking. 2001, I had family who lived in the projects in Uptown.
It's nice now.
The projects, like 5 minutes from downtown. Now you roll through Uptown, it's nothing but high rises. But I remember when they were starting to change it over, and I can't believe they're building townhouses over here for $200,000. I'm like, no, this is a lick. You can literally look out your door and see downtown Dallas. Buy. I'm nobody want to live by them projects. Where are those projects at now, Ericka?
Listen, I
where the projects at now.
I go to Uptown to go to the hotel and be like, "This is beautiful, Tim." And Tim be like, "Oh, go to the restaurant over here. Sent you over there.
Over there. Check this out." But it's like a lot of people. We as Black people, particularly, we got to get out of that mindset of waiting until it's too late to be pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
Like we wait until it's too late to get mad. Like we get so mad about stuff. Like anger is not a response to change. Like anger doesn't create change, it's action. So yeah, I'm gonna be mad. Listen, a lot of people like, let me tell you something about me. I run my real estate business through a bigger company. I'm not gonna say the name of the company right now. I ain't gonna give him no shout out. But my business, even though I'm a broker, I run it through a bigger company. I'm a part of the leadership team because of my production. You know, they gotta have a leadership team. You guys, when all this stuff kicked off with George Floyd, we had a meeting in my office. I'm the only Black person at this meeting, right? After that meeting was up, out of the 9 people that were there, I was the only person left on that leadership team. The only person, okay? Why? Because one, people don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that Black stuff. That ain't got nothing to do with them.
Is it cash? Is it creating cash?
Yeah. They don't want to hear that. And I learned in that moment that there's nothing I can do to convince someone to see me as their equal by having a conversation. So what I need to do, I need to go buy up this real estate. I need to start acquiring businesses. I need to start building capital because I don't give a damn who it is. If you got some bread, you have a little leverage, they're gonna listen to what you got to say. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because people are like, Tim, you be so hard on your people. Come show up to a meeting where I'm the only Black person, then ask me if I'm representing as well. Because I had a whole office quit after I called out all the hypocrisy, right? And I was real professional with it, you know me, right? But the point I'm making is we can't wallow in our anger. At some point in the game, you got to get up and say, I don't care if it's going to cost me everything I have. I'm going to go acquire a property and I'm going to help someone that needs, like our tenant right now, they need this house. You see what I'm saying? So we say, I tell you to sign a longer lease. Them people, they said they want to buy that house. They've never owned a house. Both of them are over 40 years old. Never owned a house. Mr. Tim, can we buy this house? That's possible. I don't have a problem with you buying this house from me as long as I know you're going to keep it, right? That's how you build wealth. But not too many. A lot of us are starting to do that, but we got to start doing it a little bit faster. But we got to be able to hold each other accountable. If I'm doing something out of pocket, call me out.
Yeah. So I don't know if y'all remember this. I'm terribly paraphrasing it, but I can't remember if it was Martin Luther King or Malcolm X. Somebody said you cannot legislate people to like you. You just cannot. And so something I always hear is people use the word inner city is exchangeable for Black people. And I correct them quickly. I go, 52% of Black people live in suburbs and rural areas. So we out here.
Why is that, Ericka? So we're gonna get deep. Why is that?
You know what I'm saying? So when people try to pull that, I go, well, what are you trying to say? Because I would go to CPAC. Y'all see me go to the conservative convention up in DC. Y'all saw me there. I got interviewed 7 times. All the questions were pretty much the same. And I'm like, yes, I'm a business owner. Yes. And so all that to say, a lot of this could be wrapped up. And this guy said this one time. He said, if you knew that the last 12 Black guys that got shot had health insurance, had life insurance, and you shot them and they had to pay, the life insurance company had to pay out, we'd be having a different conversation with the police force. But again, ownership, owning things, it changes the conversation. So thank you, Superstar Customs, for the $5 super chat. Anyway, but so Tim, somebody wants to come, they want to buy a house today. They should be doing what right now? They should be working on their credit. They should be looking at their debt.
Start it off. So first things first. I'm gonna do this. I've got this conversation down to a science. So I'm gonna go through this conversation with you in a few minutes. You're both gonna be putting around, man. So first things first. Somebody calls me, and it's gonna happen. Somebody from this call watching this video is gonna find my information and call me, and you will get me on the phone. And I don't have a problem with chopping up with you guys. Just just understand. Come with purpose, right? So the first thing I'm gonna always ask you is, what's your credit score? Because if you're trying to obtain a loan, you need good credit. You don't need perfect credit. You just need to be able to get inside the door. People say, well, some people let you in at 580, yada, yada, yada. Anytime, the lower your credit, the higher your interest rate. And it doesn't take much to raise your score. Get your score up to the 650 range, you'll be straight. After that, I always ask, how much do you have saved up? Average people that I talk to, they either have really good credit and no money, or they have a ton of money and bad credit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I say, okay, you got 10, 15 saved up. If you're buying a house right now in DFW, a good number to have saved up is $10,000.
Okay.
All right. I'm not saying you have to spend that $10,000. I'm saying a good number to have saved up is $10,000. Well, damn, Tim, that's a lot of money. It's a decent amount of money, but I'm not telling you to go get a loan for $10,000 or rob somebody. I'm saying over the course between now and next year, start putting that money back now. You can start eliminating stuff. Me, I eliminated my cable and got an antenna. I go through a whole spiel, which I won't do here, where I was able to
tell you
find
the number? $27 a day.
Yeah,
it's a big thing I've been talking about for years now.
I was able to save. I was able to find about $1,200 a month that I was just dishing out for nothing. Home, yes, it wasn't it. I was spending $700, $650 eating out. And y'all, when I say eating out, I'm not talking about going to a restaurant, going down to True Kitchen. You know what I'm saying? You know, watching people do their thing down there. I'm talking about Whataburger. You know what I'm saying? You eat Whataburger 3 times a day or fast food 3 times a day. That's $30 because the average meal is $8.
Oh yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So
average
when you
meal right now is 10. Get the drink.
I got to go houses today. Well, my first house is at 9. Let me stop by Grandy's. I'm here in Texas. Let me stop by Grandy's and give me a $7 meal. Well, then my next showing is at 2. Let me stop by Whataburger and give me an $8 meal. Well, my last one was at 7. So let me stop by Boston Market and pick up a $12. You know what I'm saying? And before you know it, I've spent $35. And I'm doing this every day. Y'all do the math on that and see how much money I was spending 5 days a week. Like, I eliminated that. So you can go find that money that you're already spending. Everything you need is already there. You know what it is. Like, I don't watch any live football games and basketball games anymore. I just catch the highlights, or I watch it on YouTube, because why am I going to sit up there for 3 hours to watch something that's going to be on SportsCenter all night, and then the highlights are going to be on YouTube tomorrow, and then nobody's going to be talking about it by Monday? You understand? So you got to find that discipline within yourself. To say, where can I sacrifice? If you find somewhere to sacrifice, you're going to see all your friends taking trips. You're going to see all your friends living their life. But what your friends aren't telling you is that they're in debt and they're just trying to satisfy the eyeballs, right? Mm-hmm. And now 5 years from now, 3 to 5 years from now, you're in a position where you're cash flowing and you can actually do those things without owing people. Bring a bag. Somebody said, bring a bag lunch. You know what I'm saying? Hey, listen, let me tell you, I can write a book on how to cook ramen noodles, man. I'm the Bubba Gump shrimp of ramen noodles, man. I can show you. I said I'm gonna do a little gag recipe book, man. Like,
part of that whole scenario. When I talk to people and I go, for the same houses in Fayetteville, I'm just talking about Fayetteville where I'm at right now. These old 1980s houses that somebody done paid off years ago, people paying $900 for rent. And if you buy the same house now, your mortgage is going to be like $312, if that. And the difference is night and day. And people are like, oh, everybody don't want to be responsible. And I'm like, is $600 to $1,000 a month worth you just being able to hop apartment to apartment for 10 years? I don't know.
Said somebody saying, can you please talk about black folks buying houses? Listen, I'm gonna talk. Listen,
wait, you know what? The funny part about that is my friend is a mortgage broker. He says he'll tell black people how much they can afford. The agent will take them out and they be like, never mind, Tim.
It's called being house poor. So Percy, let me drop some game. And if you go back and watch me and Ericka's last interview, I think I say this too. Me and my wife, when we first got together, we weren't married. We were just dating, and then we got engaged or whatever. We bought our first house together right before we got married. And so we flipped the house. It was a $60,000 house. We ended up selling for like $130,000. We spent like $30,000 on it, so we made another $30,000 off of it. Until this day, me and my wife kick ourselves in the butt because that house was paid off. You know what I'm saying? So then we bought another house in Mesquite. We bought it. We hit a lick on it. We got it for like $156,000, and then we sold it the next year for like $190,000. Right? So then we come over to East Dallas, and I kid you not, Percy, these houses over here were selling for $125,000, $130,000, $140,000 just 5 years ago. Now they're selling for $300,000. Right? Mm-hmm. To get to the point that I'm making is the house you can't afford. You all start low. Get into a house that you can afford. Go find you a house somewhere in the hood. Get inside of it. Pay the mortgage off. And sit on it. Treat it like a car. If you got a $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 house, you treat it like an $80,000 Benz and tell yourself in 6 years I'm gonna have this paid off. It's this mindset, and that's what we did. Like we got to the point to where we were able to pay stuff off at such a rapid rate because we didn't have real debt, and we got so used to not spending extra money that we didn't put ourselves in that predicament. But let me tell you something, Percy. Me and my wife sold this lady a house 2 years ago. This is like the textbook story. She's like, I want to buy this house because my kids want to go to this school and I'm doing this for my kids. And I kept telling her, man, these kids ain't gonna be paying the bills. Get your house over here, $250. Your mortgage is gonna be about $1,600. You good? No, I want to buy this house over here that's $350. Now you think to yourself, I'm a salesman, $250 and $350. That's a pretty decent amount. That's an extra $3,000 in commission, right? But my mindset is, why would I sell you something that you can't afford? Because you're gonna look back at me when things go wrong. Me and my wife, we tried to talk her out of buying this house. She wouldn't budge. She buys the house. It's not even a year later. My wife calls me because we're looking for other houses. She's like, Tim, check your text message. I click it. It's that lady's house. 10 months later, foreclosed.
How many more months?
In 10 months. Damn. All because she wanted to have the house with the pool over here. And I'm like, no, you don't do it that way. Get you something that you can afford, that you can leverage later. Because you can take this $250,000 house, get it down to $220, refinance it at 2.5%, lower your payment $300 or $400 a month, and then rent it out and go get the house you really want.
Listen, I'm gonna say something. People hate it, but I say it all the time. Marriage matters. Now, I don't know if this lady was married or not, but a lot of times people are buying these big old houses, and if something happens to you, your ankle, your arm, you break it, you something, just a one thing hits off wrong, you're the only person able to pay this mortgage. And I just want people to when people say, and that's part of it too, why are Black people buying more houses? Well, first of all, it's two incomes are stronger than one, right? And two, I don't know many single men like, yeah, let me go buy a house, right? But also single women, I think, buy too big of a house.
Or the ones that I fool with here, they don't want to buy a house. Like I got a couple of friends, and shout out to them. I love them. If they watch this, it ain't gonna be shade because I clown them about it. You know, I have women that's, you know, and I'm gonna pick on you. Well, I want to. You've never said this because you're about your coins. Well, I want to wait till I get married and find my Prince Charming, and then we buy a house together. No. You get me and my wife got together. I owned the house, and then she ended up buying the house while we were dating. So we both had a house. You see what I'm saying? Like they ain't waiting on people, and don't do it for your kids. Listen, I love my son. I love him to death. Dude, I'm not making life decisions, particularly financial decisions, based on what he thinks. He just got one room and a bathroom that he doesn't clean up. I'm not gonna spend an extra $100,000 to please a 10-year-old, right? Man, we gotta figure it out. You know what I'm saying? We gotta figure it out, and it starts by understanding that sometimes you gotta, you know, mentally, sometimes you can't shine at first. We want to shine. Somebody said in the comments, they doing it for the gram. I personally, if you follow me on Instagram, you follow me on Facebook, you never see me flossing on Instagram or Facebook, right? Yeah. I pull up, me and my wife, she still got her old Civic. I pull up in the Civic everywhere I go. You don't need to know what I got going on. I want you to think that, you know, I'm broke, which I ain't rich, but I ain't broke. You know what I'm saying? I don't want you to think that I'm trying to make you look better. I bought a Lexus just so I could drive my clients around and, you know, in luxury. Ericka, nobody got inside the Lexus.
Nobody
even wanted to ride in it because it was too flashy. It was a Lexus. It was a nice Toyota, right? Mm-hmm. So I learned that moment, like, why am I doing this to look good? Production is all people care about, production and consistency. And it's been good ever since then. Like, stop trying to go out there and get that house with, you know, with the crown molding and all this stuff. Get inside of a basic house.
HGTV, you can put that crown molding on.
Stay there for 2 or 3 years. Millennials, we move every 3 to 5 years. Our parents got into a house, huh?
Every 2 years. I've been seeing some people move every 2 years.
This ain't our parents. Like, it's not go get a good job with a union and retire in 30 years and get a gold watch and buy a house and live there forever. We ain't our parents. We move in every. I'm like literally the most stable person I know. But within a period of 5 years, like I've moved like 5 times.
Everybody know being all
too good.
Moving. Part of that too is nobody wants to start her house. And two, you are right. A lot of my white girlfriends are like, they waiting on a husband. And two of the girls who bought a house, they just said, bump it. You know, I'm almost about to be 40. I'm buying a house. The two dudes they did marry were like, girl, I'm so glad you bought this house because my credit bad. And it's the nicest dudes that they married. They just had bad credit. So then they would have got married, been waiting on him to clean up his credit anyway to get into a house. And so it's like, you cannot play this. I'm gonna wait on somebody to come along.
Man, you attract what you project. You know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day, you know, you attract what you project. If you go out there trying to attract people by flossing and acting like you somebody, you're gonna meet somebody that's just like you. Y'all gonna get in bed with each other, get out there and get in a bunch of debt. And the number one reason for divorce is finances. Y'all gonna be divorced in 5 or 6 years because that Benz no gotta get paid. And I ain't knocking no Benz. Like, I like nice stuff. Let's not get it twisted. But mindset right now is I had all that nice stuff in my early 20s and I don't have anything to show for it. So this is that time in the game where I'm stacking. So once I get to my mid 40s, then that stuff is being paid for by my assets. You understand? Like bought my truck in 2016. Me and my wife paid it off in a year and a half, right? And I get a letter from the dealership almost every month. Hey, we'll buy your truck. We'll buy your truck. No, player.
They love that.
No.
Get it from me.
It's paid off. You know what I'm saying? I'm keeping that extra $650 a month, right? And I'm reinvesting that into other things. But that truck, my wife driving. She'll drive, and I'll be in the Civic.
She's so little, she's not driving that truck.
Hey, my wife 5'2", and she be in that big boy, and I'm 6'2", and I'll be in that mug. I'll be in that mug at the light. You know what I'm saying? People me thinking I'm a college student. There used to be a time she had her sorority plates on the back. I had to take them off. All these jokers putting on the side of me looking like, hey, what's up? Then it'd be me in the car like, hey, player. But what you doing in that one car? We live off of one salary. My wife is an educator. We live off of her salary. We don't live off my salary. We live off of statistically what she makes. Does that make sense? Everything that we do is based around that. We've been doing that for 5 years. Mm-hmm. Right? So now you have a whole other salary that you can apply to something else. People say that's not impossible. It is. If you stop buying into that fake notion that you have to go to college fresh out of high school and get into 50, 60, 70 grand worth of debt. Most of the people who hate when I talk like this are the people that have $100,000 worth of student loan debt. And newsflash, my wife has a ton of student loan debt, but as an educator, it's all deferred because she works in Title I areas. So they'll eventually forgive it, right?
Yeah, there with a bulletproof vest. I'm like, let's do it. Let's do it.
Learn those loopholes too, right? But if your kid isn't ready, don't send your kid off to a university when they was making C's at the high school, right? If school is for them, send them down to the community college, right? We got one of the best community college systems in Dallas. You know what I'm saying? Like low key, one of the best ones in the nation, right? Send them down to the community college and pay $100 an hour, you know, or $100 for 3 hours, right? And get them an associate's degree if that's what they want to do. If not, put them in a trade school. Everyone doesn't have to go to college. Go to a trade school. My plumber makes $200 grand a year.
Well, you already see that with a lot of these young guys that like they already done seen their friends and family come back with the 50, 60K and nothing to show for it. They already seen it. So they don't want to.
My electrician makes about 130, 140 a year. Like every job they do at minimum is $3,000, $4,000. My plumber, just to dig, he's gonna charge you $350 a feet. And his average job is a 10 feet. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? You don't need no master's degree to do that. Our goal this year with our mentoring program is to send somebody to a plumbing school and allow them to work under a master plumber and to create a plumber. That's our goal this year.
Yeah. How much is that?
We have our meeting on Saturday. We're gonna make the boys research.
What we'll do is we'll share it here on this channel and we'll donate.
Absolutely. And then after that, we're gonna get somebody into electrician school, put somebody to truck school. Like our goal is to just start putting people through schools, starting with one kid at a time. We plan on sending a kid to law school. We plan on sending kids to medical school. We have kids in our program right now that are aligned to go to law school eventually, right? Because we're putting them in touch with the right people. But our goal is to pay for it when they go if they don't get a full ride, right? But you can't do that if you got a bunch of debt.
Tim, did I tell you used to work in the financial aid office? in college.
Man, I think you told me something like, yeah, you did.
Where they can find if especially for Black boys, if you're looking for something let me know the college and I'll let you know what office, because it's a thing in every office called it's like each office calls it different, but it's like the master title sheet, and it basically has every single thing the school has that's just left over every year, because people start scholarships for their grandma, nobody know them, and they just be sitting there for years collecting dust. But that's a whole nother conversation, but we'll do
Oh,
that.
yeah. We can talk about that.
Okay, I'm gonna read some. We got some more super chats, and thank you
Let's
for the
do it.
big.
Let's do it.
Percy said, my stepmom convinced my dad to buy this big house. She claimed it was the Lord. She was emotional and he was logical. They lost the house. I'm sorry, man.
Hey,
I'm sorry.
personally, I be telling people all the time, man. I be like, don't be blaming that on God. God didn't have nothing to do with that.
Yeah, nothing to do with that.
God ain't got nothing to do with that bad decision you made. Every time we do something, we always justify doing something by saying the Lord told me to do something. And then when they go bad, oh, the devil was busy. No, the devil had nothing to do with that. You wanted to flex.
Mm-hmm.
That's all that was. And I hate that for them first, because I've seen that so many times.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. Thank you, Mimi the trucker, for the $20 super chat. She said this is on point, speaking facts. A lot of y'all are cracking me up. They're just agreeing. Somebody put Escape from New York. So funny thing, Tim, I drove my Ford Fiesta for like 3 years and it had roll up windows, but it was paid off. And people like, how do you get a 2017 with roll up windows? I'm like, easy.
And the stick shift. I was like, he had in a Corolla the other day, a new Corolla. He was shifting gears. I said, my man, listen, you save that extra $1,000. Can't nobody drive your car with a stick shift.
You ain't never gonna get stolen anywhere. So somebody said, yeah, they had the nose. There you go. Congratulations. Okay. He's describing what a power couple looks like. His wife is a beautiful, y'all. She's a little short thing. I'm just laughing about the picture.
Hey, listen, my little baby, my little chocolate drop. I would tell her to come in here, but you know what I'm saying? I don't want nobody in the super chat to be, I'm messing with you.
Go look on your Instagram.
A power couple essentially is two people who are on the same page. Me and my wife, we always laugh because we do little videos and stuff from time to time, and people say, well, what do you think keeps the marriage together? What attracted you guys to one another? And we always joking, but we mean it's like marriage is a business. You know what I'm saying? You're going into a partnership. You're not going to always agree with your partner, but you have to be on the same page economically. And one thing about my wife, she's really good with money. She's cheap like me, but she likes nice things, right? So we'll cut corners. We won't eat out as much, but if we travel, we stay in a nice hotel. Does that make sense? You know what I'm saying? Like somebody might come on vacation, like, man, you guys stayed in that hotel? Yeah, we drive a Civic though. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not paying $700 a month on a car note, so I can afford to put it somewhere else to entertain myself, right? But that's the cherry on top. And too often in the Black community, we put too much emphasis on the cherry on top than we put on the cake. The cake is gonna be the real estate, the businesses, the trucks, whatever it is, the occupation, right? And then the things that come from that you use your money to buy is gonna get you what you want. But then those nice trips and that car and that house, that's the cherry on top. That house that you're buying, your first house is not your forever house. Your first house is the bank. That's the house that's going to finance everything else you do for the rest of your life. So stop looking for the cherry on top in that first lick and get in where you fit in. And then you start building your capital, and then you can have that stuff paid for itself. But too often we want to pull up on the first day of work in the new car with the new clothes, and we finance this entire lifestyle that we can't afford. And then what happens if you don't make it out of training? Jobs nowadays check your credit. So now you can't get another job because you done ran it up over here to show off and impress these people that don't even really think about you twice after you go home.
The craziest part, what you said, every time people say marriage is business, you have this whole brew storm of men over here on YouTube like, no. And I'm like, it is, because if it wasn't, I'd go down to the beach in Hawaii and pick up the first beach bum and cut his hair and go get married. It's a business. Stop it.
Me and my wife, like when I on the way home today, I called her. I said, "Babe, we got to step it up. We doing our thing, but I just met a young brother that owns 100 properties out here. Like, this dude is not even from the country. He came and got it. So if anything, we need to sit down and restructure or make sure we're on the right page, right? But it's the mindset. People from California come to Dallas. I'll never forget. I had a client come here. I took them to the hood, y'all. Like, I'm talking about, I took them on a tour, and they were like, oh my God, this house is beautiful. I'm like, what? Oh, this area is beautiful. I'm thinking to myself, they get it. They're not from here. They see the investment. They don't see that was Pookie grandmama house. You know, the candy lady used to live there, and then it became a crack house after that. They don't see that. They see that this house is 5 minutes from downtown in an area where there's nothing but a bunch of land because they've torn down houses and they can rebuild. Like, we got to start thinking like that. We got to get out of our own way. Yeah.
You know what I would recommend for people to do is, the reason I tell people sometimes not to invest where they live, because they have already devalued where they live so much that they don't, I would never buy on that side of town. I'd never invest over there. And somebody else gonna come into town and say, oh my God, this is amazing. And so sometimes you might need to invest outside of your city because you cannot see the value. Brian James said pipe fitter apprentice is a way they can go. Somebody also said, if you look in, they said aircraft mechanics, $70K to start. I have a connect. They don't have enough to replace men retiring. Jay Prince, please reach out to Tim on Instagram or wherever he would like us to email it to.
Yeah, I'll let you put my stuff up before we end, right?
Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I saw somebody say, I'm sorry, go ahead, Erica.
No, you good. Go ahead.
Well, the comment went up fast. The comment section is lit.
I know it's been over 400 people in and out of this video. While
your comment section is on point.
So
it's Swarthy Daisy says, selling my first house helped me get ahead big time. Swarthy Daisy. My first house that I bought it for 140. I sold it for about 180, and I paid myself a commission on it. So I made about 45 on it, right? That house, I was able to do so much money with that. I mean, so much with that money. Like, one, I was able to put it down towards another house, and then it just becomes a tumbling effect, right? You take the escrow, the money that you made, not the escrow, the equity, and you put it to the next, and before you know it, you're living in a house that's 3 or 4 times bigger or better than what you were, but you're paying a mortgage that's the same as that first house, right? Mm-hmm. Like, there's so much leverage. Then once we got over here, and I don't mind sharing this with you because I don't mind being transparent without getting too much into my business, but this is basically, one-on-one stuff, right? Then we were able to refinance the house for 15 years. And when I tell you guys, man, we have a 15-year mortgage that'll be paid off in the next 2 or 3 years. Mm-hmm. But even if we make our regular payments, like, just to see how much that goes towards principal is crazy, right? You just got to learn this game. And it's not hard. It's right in front of you, y'all. But a lot of our people, not all of us, we getting a lot better. But many of us are still on that, well, what the government going to do for me? Or, I just can't get in the door. After they posting the busted challenge, you know how to do it. I'm picking on the busted challenge, man. Like,
and people
come on, we got everything. Yeah, we got to get out of that mentality of
we'll find a challenge. Yeah? We'll find a challenge in a minute, but we can't seem to find no other information on the internet.
Y'all, it takes more energy and effort to find a challenge, learn a dance, choreograph the dance, record the dance, add your caption, post it. It takes more energy to do that than it does to log on to a zoning commission meeting to see what's going on in your area and to put together people in your area to say we're against it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And so one thing I want to say about that, though, Tim, I know we're talking about moving to Dallas. People want to pick up and move. And this is the big John, careful. Pick it up, baby. Pick it up. You almost fell. Sorry, we got little kids in the background. He tripped over something. So part of what I wanted you to speak on is the fact that people have been home for like 11 months doing whatever, letting no bills get paid. When you talked about in 5 years, people aren't gonna be able to buy a house. I looked at it as it's gonna take 2 years for some of these people to recover their credit. Once they even recover it, then house is gonna be so expensive they got to reset their mind for at least a year to get in that game. Can you hear me? Does that make sense?
No, I'm right. I'm taking notes. Yeah, absolutely.
So this is part of, because like people don't realize the FICO 10 is coming officially this year, and so now they can see what you did the past 24 months. So you're trying to come to a lender to get approved for a house, and you was cutting up all the last 11 months, right? Because some people had their job the whole time, just didn't pay no bills because, hey, moratorium, I do what I want.
Hey, and so Ericka, listen to your boy. I paid everything on time. I know the game. I know the game. You go 6, 8, 9 months without paying something, and then it's time for an opportunity to come, and you can't show a lender if you need the money from them that you can't pay. I know the game. When they send me that letter, hey, if you want to not pay your mortgage for a couple months, we can put it on the back end. No, I'm good, player. Matter of fact, I'm gonna send y'all a little bit extra money so I can get about this thing. You did?
Has it happened to you yet? There's some real estate agents here in Austin. They'll try to close on the house. They can't close because the person took the break. And so in order to close, they got to pay like 4 or 5 grand because they had 4 or 5 months of no payments. And so the lender don't, the buyer don't want to pay for that. And the person selling the house can't afford to pay for it. So they be sitting there at the table like, who gonna pay for it? So it's not a deal. Like I keep trying to tell y'all, this moratorium, y'all gonna try to sell your house,
it's
and they're
not
gonna
a deal. Or even like back in the day, back in the Gap, when my first house that I had that we were just talking about with Daisy, that first house, I knew going into that house I wouldn't be there for longer than 5 years. So I lived in it for 2 years or 3 years, I'm sorry, and then I rented it out for 2, right? But when you think about that house right there, like I put somebody in it and I put them in on Section 8. Mm-hmm. I was telling people back in the day, yo, Section 8 is a lick. Like Section 8, and man, my people, especially Black folks, man, they're like, man, you stupid. They gonna tear your house up. I'm like, man, it's levels to Section 8. The voucher that my client has is specifically designed for professionals who got hurt and they can't work, but they have a certain lifestyle they're used to. Mm-hmm. Like my tenant drove a Benz, a BMW. She was a retired lady, hurt her back, was taking care of her mom, and she had to medically retire, and she was on Section 8. She took care of that house better than anybody. And that mortgage, that payment came on the 2nd of every month. Now imagine now you look at Dallas, we have, rent stoppages right now, which I understand why, there's some people just can't afford, but then people on Section 8, the government's still paying that rent. So I know people who haven't gotten rent since March.
Tim, I haven't gotten rent.
That's been getting rent every month.
Listen, Tim, October 2019, I have a tenant in Detroit. We were getting her out. They were so backed up. By the time they got us back into the courtroom for the last little thing, she's still in there since October 2019, not paying no rent. And I was like, y'all, at some point, this is going to have to wrap up. You either give people cash for keys or something. Somebody said, stop living rich and dying broke challenge. Smart man. I'll do a 15-year mortgage next time. Nah, my nephew was
your mortgage to live.
Yeah. This guy is a great guest, great balance, not a fraud, not over the top. Yeah, listen, I bring on guests, Tim, and they don't even play. They're going to tell you about yourself. They appreciate you. They enjoy you.
Hey, Chris, let me say something to Brother McDonald. I appreciate that. Anybody who knows me, including Ericka, knows that I'll never tell you to do something that I haven't done, right? Mm-hmm. I'm never going to sell you no wolf tickets and tell you, here's some magic potion oil. I was laughing. I was talking to some people the other day. I said, I could make so much money if I was a fraud. I'm telling y'all, I could hit so many licks if I was a fraud, but that's just not who I am. Like, like I tell people, man, I'm good where I go. Like, I can go anywhere in Dallas. So I laugh and say that all the time, but there's people in Dallas who are claiming that they're doing big things. They can't go to certain parts, right? Because people know that they're fraud, right? You talk a good game, but when it's time to put the money up or do something, that's not what you're really about. So I pride myself in knowing that you ain't gonna ever really get no sucker stuff from me. I'm trying to keep my voice edited because I'm gonna respect the platform. You ain't getting no sucker moves from me, man, because at the end of the day, you can pull up and see that the stuff that I'm telling you to do is what I'm actually doing, right? Mm-hmm. I make a living making sure that my people have a better opportunities and that they can't put themselves in a position to say they didn't know. And I can't twist your hand. I can throw you the oop. My job is to throw you the alley-oop. You catch it, you slam it down, you celebrate. That's all it is. So you're going to get it straight from me every time. I appreciate that, Chris.
Listen, Auntie says, screaming, my daddy told me stop playing with his forgiveness on your house. Listen, people got to understand, like I say it like this, Tim, I ain't never going to lie to you so you can't come back and say Ericka said it. That way it's like, if I always tell you the truth, baby, like you may not like it, but
you may not like it, man, and you'll respect it. When you laying up late at night having a drink or, whatever it is you're doing and you pondering on the stuff, you'll be like, you know what, Tim wasn't lying, man. He just kept it real with me. And I always tell people, if you don't agree with me, that's cool. Like, that don't mean we still can't rock with each other because there may be something I can tell you that's going to change your life. And there may be something you're going to tell me that's going to change my life. Like, we got to get out our feelings. Black people, we tend to get into our feelings about stuff and we tend to get into our emotions because we're just emotional people. It is what it is. But you got to learn how to separate that. Like, one thing I've learned by working around other people, and y'all can interpret other how you want to, is that they don't get into their feelings when it comes to business. It's just business. And we make it so personal that it'll paralyze us from even taking a step. Like, I got into trucks a couple years ago. It was a bad blueprint. It didn't work. We hemorrhaged money. I mean, it was just a bad blueprint. But then I looked at the other blueprints that you guys offer, and I was like, well, if I would have did that, I would have been good. So am I going to now say that I'll never do trucks again? No, I'm going to follow a blueprint that works. Mm-hmm. But a lot of times with Black people, we don't have a safety net. So when we go all in and fail, it leaves such a poor taste in our mouth that we stick to the script of playing it safe. You know, let me flash a little bit on Instagram, let me stunt. But at the end of the day, I feel comfortable doing this. And then we stay in a stagnant situation. And then when a deal or an opportunity comes, we ain't got no money for
it. Tim, let me tell you, thank you, Brother Hatchet. He said,
Andre, own the BO. I tried to wear my own the BO shirt, but I was like, I ain't gonna wear it today. But now I see Andre. I should have worn my shirt.
It's Friday. It's Freedom Friday. We relaxed. About that shirt. I saw this man out at a restaurant. I was like, yo, you know Dre? And he was like, who? And all he knew was Dr. Boyce Watkins wore that shirt, so he bought it. And I was like, man, I know the man who made the shirt.
Hey, listen, man, every time I wear that, if I post that shirt online, I get so many comments off that shirt. I've sent so many people to that website. I went to Cuba. When we went to Cuba, I wore that shirt out there. Yeah.
The crazy part about them shirts is I go to the airport and wear the shirts. And like I have one that says the stocks, real estate, people always come up like, what brokerage do you work for?
Exactly. And that's the difference. Let me ask you a quick question. Can we just keep it real? Yeah. Like, what color are those people?
Inside hand.
Okay. So they don't care that you're Black, do they? Nope. One thing I've learned about non-Black people is that when it comes to making money, they don't care if you're Black. But Black folks, a lot of times we'd say, well, they white, they may not understand this or they may not do it. Like, stop assuming that a person's going to view life the way you view it, hence not giving you an opportunity. I don't give a damn what color you are. If I see an opportunity, I'm going to call and introduce myself, and you're going to like me because you're going to like Tim, right? I'm not going to shuck and jive. I'm not going to make my people look bad. I'm going to keep it real, and you're going to respect me. But at the end of the day, an opportunity is going to knock. Your boy going to open the door. We got to understand that, you know, opportunities, remember this, you guys. An opportunity can always be sued, all right? Remember that. An opportunity can always be sued. If somebody's bringing something to your attention and they ain't got no insurance, no liability insurance, they don't have anything to protect you, it's not an opportunity. It's a lick. Yeah. Whenever I go into an opportunity, I ask myself this: can I sue this person or this opportunity? Right? If I send them a demand letter, I pay $100 or $200 for my attorney to send out a demand letter. Will I get my money back? And if the answer is yes, then I pursue it. If it's somebody coming in the game talking about you can make this, you can do that, the first thing I ask for are receipts. Well, hey, let me see what you've done. Let me see your portfolio. If they can't provide it, y'all, that's not an opportunity. That's a lick, right? So the opportunity will always present itself if you're in the right place and if you're representing yourself. If you got a brand, wear your brand. On my backpack, I wear my stuff everywhere I go. And people come to me all the time, right? So I don't know how we got on that. You know, your boy, I'll talk about you.
No, you listen, I would say 2020 taught a lot of people, and the whole inside hand is from Asia Denson. I didn't come up with that. The best way I can teach you right now is I'm in over 100 and probably 9 different partnerships. And I have several people who come off this channel. They don't comment in the comment section, but they are white, Asian, and Latino who have worked with me. And so they don't care. People care about, you know, I have an investment club and people in there. We did a monthly meeting one time. And I was like, who is this man? And he was like, he turned his camera off. And I was like, sir, you welcome here. I didn't mean to scare you. I just didn't know we had other people in the investment club. Welcome to the club.
People of no color. That's another thing as Black business owners, you guys. We get into the mindset that if we create a business that is only for Black people, there's no successful business out there that caters to one person. It's just not realistic, you guys. I have clients that are from all backgrounds, walks of life, all colors. They know I care about my people. They know I love my people. And in fact, that's why they fool with me, right? Because they know if he wouldn't sell his own people out, he ain't gonna sell me out. You understand what I'm saying? Or if he's gonna hold his own people accountable, he's gonna hold me accountable. But here's the thing, right? We gotta get out of that mindset of our green money can only come from Black people. Because here's the thing, if you believe that Black people have been redlined and disenfranchised and been put in situations to be economically depressed, then that means that you believe that your business is gonna fail because they can't afford you.
Yeah.
So subconsciously, you won't even take a chance. So get out there and meet other people. And then you take your resources back to your community like everyone else does. People come into the Black community and set up shop, and they have all the stores and all the businesses. But then when they get their money, they take it back to their community. Nothing wrong with that, right? Well, if there's nothing wrong with it, do it. You guys do it too. So that was my biggest mistake when I first got into the game. I want everything to be black, black, all black, all black, all black. And
black,
I right, black, 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 and black, black, right? And I was fighting so hard. And the black, my partner put me to the side. He said, Tim, I love what you're doing, man, but
chill.
You know, you don't have to. You can still be yourself and work with everybody else. And this is what you need to do.
Everybody.
Yeah, and I'm still me. I'm still me. I call it out, but people fool with me from all backgrounds because of the integrity. So y'all don't be afraid to get out there. Don't limit yourself to one audience.
Listen. Power Economics even says that. It's like, sell to everybody. Now, prime example, I went to my favorite little Thai food place here in town. Black people love this place. Love it. It's healthy, clean food. You know, they just got fried rice, but the rest of it is very vegetable based. I drive around the back of the store because I got this new SUV and I can't drive it like the little car. So I drove around the back and it was Lexus, big old Mercedes Benz. I was like, the staff, you know, they may come to the work dressed like they little poor people, but they in the back just Lexus and Benz, like they love it. I mean, just so make your money. It don't matter.
Make your money. You know what? I got a funny story about that too. I used to rent to a guy who drove like a 550, a S550. He was always late on his rent, and I would go pick him up. I liked him because he was always late. Because I always got an extra $50 out of him every month. You know what I'm saying? It just was what it was. At first, it kind of used to piss me off, but then I thought, well, he's gonna be late every month. That's an extra $75 every month. And I would pull up and go pick up rent in I had an old Lexus, like a 90-something Lexus. And he would pull up in this big fancy car. And I remember one day I said to myself, somebody probably thinks that I'm renting and he's, you know, picking up rent. But the mentality was, let me stun on this guy. I mean, he was always super clean. This dude was fly, whole family. But he could never pay his rent on time. He had a ton of evictions. The priorities weren't there, right? So I'm not saying he couldn't have a nice car. I'm just saying make that the cherry on top. Don't make that the cake.
Yeah. Did he have the Beijing? Was he Beijing down?
No, he wasn't Beijing. He had a strong hairline. That dude had a strong hairline. I've been bald all throughout the pandemic. Then I started letting it grow back, and my stuff ain't looking as strong as it used to be. So I think I might get back on the Mr. You know, on Andre Hatch's side of the game and shade this thing off and be smooth like my brother Dre.
I was giving you a hard time. I was like, "What's up, Lex Luthor? What's going on out here?" He probably was like, "Ericka, get out my DMs." All right, we've been on an hour and 45 minutes. It's always good to chat with you. So I know your wife. Like, if you don't come on, yes, Tim. That's why I was like, okay, we'll just rock. I thought you said you had to go, so I was like, well,
no, I just want to chop it up with you offline. Okay.
So Roscoe 3.0 said, "Thank you for the 5-star. It's refreshing to see a brother who is pro-black and not pushing the victimology narrative."
Oh no. Hey, somebody once told me, take off your victim glasses and put on your accountability glasses. I was like, damn, I couldn't even say no back. You know what I'm saying? He said you need to take off your victim glasses and put on your account. And this was like an old mentor of mine in my job, old black dude. He pulled me to the side. He's like, man, I like you, but you be doing some stupid stuff from time to time. He said, you're going to have to take off your victim glass. So every time he walked by my desk, he'd be like, and we would laugh about it. But from a grand scheme of things, like, he was real. Like,
he was trying to help you.
He said, Tim, you have access to the internet, which means you have access to everything. Like, stop being a victim. Like, go get this money, man. You know? And your boy been doing it.
That's hilarious. Hey, you know what? That sounds like something them old sales dudes do.
I'm gonna see people in public. They're gonna walk up to me and they're gonna be like, "Oh."
Oh, listen. Look, they love it. Listen, y'all do that to somebody this week. Let them know. Take off them victim glasses.
Hey, y'all. If you arguing with somebody and you say that, them fighting words. So I'm just putting it out there. I told somebody that in the middle of the argument, I said, take off your mother victim glasses, put on your accountability glasses, and we were squared up after that. So just know you better use it in the right settings, right? I got the point across to him.
It's funny. It's fun. Oh, somebody said, "Nah, brother's getting pieces now." You know, they can get the piece. You got the money to get the piece.
It's a cat in my barbershop. I never forget. I saw that, and I didn't know what it was. Dude was getting. I watched him do it. I said, "Man, you didn't tell me you ain't got no hair." I always thought that he had hair, but I came in a little early for my appointment, and they had it shaved, and they were putting the thing on. It was just like the YouTube video. Y'all know I ain't got no sense. I sat there and watched it. I was like, I gotta watch this, man. I ain't got no sense. I had time that day.
Here's what I say to people. Just go make more money. It'll make you feel more confident in that hair.
Hey,
It
true
is your
story.
job. Huh?
True story. Professional athletes don't never get their teeth fixed.
Never.
Professional
James
athletes,
Harden.
all the money in the world. I be watching James Harden interviews. I'm like, bruh, like
Exactly.
I spent money on my grill, and I'm just Tim. So then it made me realize I got to look at some things. Like, is it really that important for me to focus on stuff like that? Because when you got money, people don't care about it. But Jay-Z said, ain't no such thing as an ugly billionaire. I'm cute.
Listen, and the crazy part, I was on O'Shea Duke Jackson's channel one time, and somebody was saying something about me. I was like, you right, I'm fat, but I'm rich, and you still over here watching me. So let's keep it moving, right? So then I
Hey,
just
they be
went
coming
on
for
my
you on Tariq page. You post them on Tariq page, they be coming at you.
I'd be
I
like,
swear, they got some thick skin.
what can you do? They'd be like, you a bad wench, you a whole bad wench. I'd be like, all right, cool. I mean, and what's next one? Give me some more. Give me
Yeah,
some more.
we gotta, for so long, man, even the term coon, for so long, that term has been weaponized and been
Hurt.
used. Essentially, you throw it at people when they don't agree with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a coon is a very defined, specific thing. It's a person that essentially agrees with white supremacy and it's forced against black people. That's what a coon is. But if a person disagrees with you on one topic, that doesn't make them a coon, right? It makes them a coon if they say, oh, and by the way, you need to pull up, by your bootstraps and stop. When they start talking those speaking points, then they think you're coon land. But we as black people, we got to get out of our feelings and stop attacking people for having a different perspective. If that makes any sense, like politically, I know you lean more conservative Republican. I'm more independent. I don't want nobody touching my money, and I feel like people should be able to make their own choices. But I don't subscribe to any party. But during this election, when I would call out just factual, historically based things, like people were really getting mad at me. Like, why would you say that? These people are doing their best. It's just like, no. This isn't about party. This is about action. So, I voted for somebody so many times and I didn't get anything in return. Isn't politics about return? But black people, we treat politics like we treat church.
Yep.
Politics is not church because for so long, church was all we had and everything was brought to us through church, but we've never disassociated that connection, right? Mm-hmm. So we had that mindset of, I'm going to hope for the best and put my faith in this guy over here or this system and just sit back. No, get involved yourself. Like, get out there and lobby and hold these people accountable. You'd be surprised what $1,000 would do from a donation standpoint with a politician at the local level.
Oh,
you'd be surprised what $500 would do at the local level if somebody's running for something and they know they got your support and your money. How your agenda will get in front of them, right? So, y'all in the chat, don't allow somebody because you think differently. You're here because you think differently, right? So don't allow somebody who wouldn't even conceive your thoughts or wouldn't dare take the chances that you're willing to take to determine your value and your worth within the black community. Revoking your black card. I had a whole conversation with people. I said, y'all see me on these videos and y'all see me out and I'm dressed like this and I look a certain way and I present myself. But I've literally gone to a place and literally going back the next day wearing a t-shirt and all my tattoos showing and people don't even know who I am, right? You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Because people care about how you present yourself in the moment, right? So do your thing, but don't get hung up on what another person may think about you because who cares? At the end of the day, you're getting it for you. And then what I've learned with our people, we may not jump on board up front, but if we see that it's working, we're going to peep game and then we're going to come back. We're going to swear we've been fooling with you for 20 years, right?
They behind the train dragging. I was here since day one. Be like, maybe I'm dragging you. Thank you, other Z for the $10. He said for the accountability glasses, great show. S Barney said $7. I'm always effing with your messes and guests. Ericka, keep doing what you do. Listen, and somebody said, does Tim have a podcast? He needs one. I do. I'm gonna put him on.
I do. You want to put all my stuff up real quick?
Yeah.
Listen, I ain't keeping all this stuff to myself. I want y'all to rock with me, okay? So you gonna type it up? How you gonna do it?
Are you on the computer over there?
Yeah, I'm on a computer. Can I type it in myself?
You can type it in, yeah. If whenever you're a guest,
I'm over acting like my parents on their first Zoom call. What do I do, baby?
You know how to type it in.
Put it into the comments.
Yeah, you just type it in the comment. It should pop up. Does Tim have a podcast? Yes, he does. I'm gonna try to listen because this show's so long. I'm gonna get Savannah to take snippets and pieces, and I'm gonna put it all over Instagram because he's been dropping all kind of game today.
Just type, just put it up on the thing right there for me.
Okay, I'm gonna type it right now. Go ahead.
All right, so if you want to follow me on social media, it's at Tim Jackson Now on Instagram, on Facebook, Tim Jackson Now. All right, yeah, I'm more on my personal Facebook page a lot, but I'm transitioning because I want to get out there a little bit more. So at Tim Jackson Now on Instagram, as y'all can see, I like to have a lot of fun. I joke around, but I'm real serious about this game, about this money. So you're gonna get some clowning around, but you're gonna get some heavy stuff too. So we're gonna keep it balanced. I don't never think a person. Yeah, I ain't that person that's serious all the time, and I ain't that person that's joking all the time.
Teeth are important. People try to joke about it, but I've seen young ladies who are beautiful, but something's wrong with their mouth, get lower jobs or hide their mouth when they talk. And I'm like, honey, you are beautiful. I'll pay for you some teeth. But teeth are important. They do make a difference.
But yeah, so it's at Tim Jackson Now. My podcast is called Real Dope Radio. If you go to any streaming, if you go to iTunes, you go to Google Play, it's just Real Dope Radio. That's it. Real Dope Radio. It'll be a picture of me. You'll get to see your boy tattoos. I got the city tatted on me, and it's just me in a red Real Dope shirt, Real Dope Radio. If you go to my website, give me 1 second. Let me pull up this. I used to have so many websites. Now I only got like 3 of them.
Hold on. I'm putting.
RealDopeTim.com. www.realdopetim.com.
RealDopeTim.com.
Yep, it will take you to the website. You can click on there and access the podcast from there. My book is on sale there. Real Dope, an in-depth comparison between real estate and the dope game.
Tell the folks about your charity though.
Oh yeah, so Real Youth Mentoring. www.realyouthmentoring.org. Everything I do has real in it. So Real Youth Mentoring is one of the dopest mentoring programs out there, you guys. I started about 5 or 6 years ago. Have some amazing people that work with me. My boy Lewis White, my boy Anthony Watkins, my boy Broner, my boy I'm trying to shout Alan, my boy Alan. I got so many people there. We have so many good people that work with us. But what we do is we have an organization that teaches Black boys about entrepreneurship, business, life skills. We give out a scholarship every year. We started taking our boys on a trip every year, but with COVID-19, it got canceled. But last year, we took our very first trip. We went to Memphis, Tennessee, went to Lorraine Motel, visited civil rights stuff. We went to Atlanta, Georgia. We did all the civil rights stuff there, stayed downtown, stayed at the, what's that big glass, the Westin, the big glass building downtown. Mm-hmm. Some of these boys ain't never even left Dallas. So just imagine you ain't never even left Dallas. And you're staying in a high rise, right? We stayed in a mansion in Memphis, right? I did this on purpose so I can show these boys what it really looks like to live here. And we stayed, the person that owned the house was a doctor and his wife. I'm telling you, they just got to see so much. We went to Birmingham, went to the where the church bombing was, and just gave them a little historical context. But we're supposed to go to DC this year, but we didn't. But listen, we've already raised nearly $20,000. Ain't too many Black nonprofit organizations that's doing something specifically for Black men. Ain't too many of them in the Black. Okay, we got a decent little reserve, and the goal is to pay for someone this year to go to plumbing school.
Tim, what's your Cash App? So also thank you, K-Love, for the Cash App. Thank you, because you guys know I love that y'all spend money here on YouTube. Thank you. YouTube takes 30% and pays me when they want to. Anytime you Cash App, it goes to us and it goes to improving our channel. Tim, if you have a Cash App, you can put it in the chat.
Absolutely. Let me do this right here, y'all, because I'm just gonna keep it a buck. Like everything I do, people get on to me. They say, man, you just way too nice with people, man. You need to start making some money for yourself. But like even my book, I don't make any money off that book. 100% of the proceeds goes to the mentoring program. So our Cash App is $RYM cash.
Oh, wait, I done switched over. I was looking over here. Hold on. Let me type.
Yeah.
Say it again one more time.
$R is in Romeo, Y is in Yankee, M is in Mary. I don't know. I forgot what the phonetic word was. And then cash, CASH, RYM cash.
Boom. Thank you so much.
That's it. So if you want to shoot me some, man, shoot it to the mentoring program. Like I said, we're giving out scholarships this year. There was a lady had 8 kids, her and her husband, their house burned down. We helped them. We got food for them. We got money for them. We don't broadcast this stuff because my thing is I want to do it to be authentic, not to get the likes. And because of that, people rock with us. When they had the hurricane a couple years ago, you remember that? We went down there. We took a truck full of, goods down to Houston, water, clothes, everything. We didn't get a lot of publicity on that because I don't do it for the publicity. Recently here in Dallas, we had what's called the first ever expunction fair, where they were teaching people how to get things expunged. We actually paid for people's expunged. We're the only company in Dallas that paid to get people's records expunged, right? You ain't gonna see that on the news. You're not gonna see that broadcast. It's really hard for me to do good for people and then take a picture, but I'm understanding there's a way you're supposed to market yourself. So I'm learning how to do it with humility. You'll never see me like feeding a homeless person like, hey, you want this chicken? Here you go. But I'm learning how to be more graceful with letting people know what we're doing. So y'all hold me accountable on that. If you have any tips and tricks, let me know, because again, I'm looking at it from that hood standpoint. My mom always said, don't brag when you're doing stuff, but sadly, you got to talk about it or people won't know we're doing it, you know?
I would say this. Thank you. You guys are blowing up the Cash App. I appreciate every single dollar. I'm gonna read them in a second. All these descriptions, all the links, Tim's books, this link I'm showing y'all right now, the website is gonna be in the description. Y'all know I work on this every day to make sure it looks clean and that you can click the links. But I want to bring you back on, and I want us to have one talk about job opportunities for young Black boys, right? We'll just do a whole show charity, and then let's do another show on what were we talking about that one time? I forgot. Dang, I forgot. But there's two shows in my mind I have for you, because you're in Dallas, you're actually on the ground. It's really hard for people to promote their charity with, you know what I mean? And that's how I want y'all to understand, like Tim is somebody I actually drove to Dallas in the hood, parked my car, locked the door twice. I was like, oh, and he was there with a room full of boys. And I think it's the year you didn't do a football one, right?
Yeah,
and you every year you do football, everybody and their mama drop their kids off. But when you do an actual business one, it's chirps, it's quiet. So stuff like that.
Man. Ericka pulled up. I was proud of you, Ericka.
I said, well, let me come see this.
I'm proud of y'all. Hey, y'all, don't let the little vest fool y'all. Listen, I don't glorify the streets and the hood stuff. We don't allow that. But a lot of times, you know, with Black people, they want you to be one way or the other. Y'all, we so multifaceted. That's what makes us so unique. I can go to the hood and have a conversation with the dope man, and I can go down to City Hall and have a conversation with the councilman. You know what I'm saying? That's how it's supposed to be, right? That's who you want representing you dig? So that's why people fool with me like that. I'm not trying to make it seem like I'm the realest dude in the world, but that authenticity is what keeps people coming back saying, all right, I can rock with him. We get donations, everybody rock with us. When I tell you I got people donating, and we make it really clear, you know, just because you're donating to us doesn't mean that you can shape our message, because our message is real Black. You know what I'm saying? Like if you look out there right now, there's not too many mainstream programs for Black boys. When I used to tell people I wouldn't have a meeting for a group of Black boys, they would say, well, if you want to meet here, we can let you meet here for free if you're a nonprofit. So then when I went and got my nonprofit status, I'm like, all right, I'm back with this nonprofit status. Can I meet for free? Oh, well, your program is not inclusive enough. You understand what I'm saying? Yep. Even though Black boys statistically fall in every worst category there is, and there's a need for it, it wasn't inclusive. So then I start peeping game. I'm like, all right, I got you. And I figure out a way to get around it. You understand what I'm saying? And so that's what we teach our boys. We teach our boys how to get around it. We teach our boys, we did a conference, 20 ways to make $1 million in sports without playing a game. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
And when I tell y'all, we had 60, 70 boys there. Like, it was amazing how many different ways they could make $1 million in sports without playing. They never even heard this stuff before. They thought they had the quarterback or the running back to make money. No, everybody in that stadium is eating. So why aren't we teaching our boys and our girls that? You did? So that's what we're about. But check me out. That book that she has on the screen, real dope. I wrote that book because when I came back home from the military, all my partners were selling dope, and I was selling real estate. And they were like, man, how you do it? I literally wrote that book for my homeboys, and it blew up. You know, it turned into something more, right? So I'm breaking it down, comparing real estate to the dope game. I literally, y'all read it, you're going to love it, man. I literally go on like an internship, if you will. I ain't going to ruin it, but I'm showing my partners how you making minimum wage selling dope. You making $8 an hour, and you're in a hazardous job with no life insurance. Like the time you put into selling this dope, you can go buy one house and make that, and then have that coming in every month. So that's why I wrote that book. I wrote it at a 5th grade level, so anybody can read it. So y'all tell me what you think about that. There's an ebook as well.
I love it. I love it. Listen, we're going to wrap the show up, but listen, what you said is so important about being able to talk to anybody. I think I posted a video where I was at like a Blackity Black conference down there with Andre Hatchett, like in Atlanta or something. Then the next week I was in San Diego, and it was in DC, right? And then I went to San Diego, and I was on a boat on a yacht with a bunch of white guys in credit repair, like white folks in credit repair. And people were like, oh my God, how can you go from one event to the other? I'm like, be confident in who you are. What you have, you can take it anywhere. You can talk to anybody. And so there's a lot of stuff that's like fear based in our community. We got to work on. And I sometimes I listen to Jason Black and a few others, and people be like, "Yeah, I'm in Dallas, and there's no opportunities." And I'm like, "Brother, stop! Who is talking to you?"
Man, it's opportunities everywhere. It's
Yeah.
opportunities everywhere. Here's the thing. Y'all gotta stop being so afraid to ask for help. One reason I rock with Andre.
Mm-hmm.
Andre's not afraid to ask for help. He's not afraid to ask, "Hey man, you're good at this. Can you help me with this? Hey man, you can do this." He's never been afraid to ask for help. I bought Andre's courses. I'm literally
I'm a
getting ready
notary.
to get my notary's license just so I can pick up a couple extra dollars, because once we start paying off all this debt, it became addictive, right? So I'm watching Andre's video. I'm like, damn, he got somebody that made a G. Like I can make a G in a week. You know what I'm saying? Like where I do that at, right? So get out there, spend the money, have a safety net, eliminate some of that debt you got, and start strategically taking that money that you've been paying and putting into a separate account, and then use that money as your come up. Go buy that $50 course. Go buy that $97 course, and then build off of it. And stop expecting for somebody to wave a magic wand or to snap a finger and say, you're validated. Damn that. Validate yourself. Validate yourself through your work, right? And it might not be, I'm from Dallas. There's people in Dallas that don't fool with me because they remember Tim from high school that probably beat up one of their homeboys, or they remember, you know what I'm saying? They remember, Tim from back in the day. They used to do this. And I didn't do anything just bad, but I'm just saying they don't see me as Tim Jackson, the real estate broker who owns a business. They see me as Tim, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then when they start seeing me on videos like this or me on the news and stuff, like, oh man, you really about that life. Yeah, but it took years for them to acknowledge that. So get out there and do it, man. Like get out there and get what you got to get.
Okay, let me read these cash apps because my phone about to die. But thank y'all. Thank you, Mr. Chuck Smith, for the $10 cash app. Said great content. Thank you, Jennifer Price, for the $25 cash app. Thanks for the show. Thank you, Ericka, for I don't know who that is. But thanks, $10 cash
Oh,
app.
Ericka, thank you, Ericka. She just sent me some too as well.
Oh,
I
okay.
appreciate you, Ericka.
Thank you, Rhonda Weathersby, for the $20 great session with Tim. Thank you, Fonzo Will, for the $5 super chat. We need this once a month. I'll ask Tim. Tim's a busy man. You know, when I can, I grab him, but I don't take up too much of his time. Mark
Hey,
A.
I'm never too busy for
Great
people who are about that life. If you're
Okay.
about that life, I got all the time in the world for you. If you're just trying to come and pick my brain, you know what I'm saying, and just siphon information from me and then not put it to use, I'm good. No, you ain't picking my brain to go out there and argue with somebody on the internet. If you're going to pick my brain, like sit down and go apply that stuff, and then let's chop it up over coffee when you get to Dallas and you tell me how it worked. Don't reach out to me just to be talking. We got to get out of that jailhouse mentality where we sit around and just talk about stuff all day long. We got to get out of that. Like all jokes aside, like that shit is for the birds, man. Like get out of that. It's good to have knowledge, but that knowledge means nothing if you don't apply it. Okay, stop being a hoarder of information and start being an executor of information. Get that information, go execute it, tweak it, and execute it again, and make it work for you. And then come back. But all that, let's just chop it up and talk about theories. I'm good on that. I don't want to talk about no more damn theories. Let's talk about the action.
Listen, y'all, I'm telling y'all, like when people kept saying, Ericka, come on, get on this clubhouse. I'm like, baby, 3 hours? You know what I could do in 3 hours?
Man, I ain't got. I get on Dre's clubhouse. I only fool with like handful of people because I know they're not no scammers. They're not they're trying to get over on me. But I ain't got all day for that. I turn my notifications off. I don't got time to hear somebody just talk and they're not giving me no game.
You be on Clubhouse next minute, you're getting deported from Bali. Okay, old girl went out there Clubhouse.
Say, why you talk about that? You on there trying to impress people. Oh, it's cheap. Man, they done deported you, right? Everything, you got to put all your business out there.
Yeah.
That's what you call a lick. If I was paying $400 a month living in a treehouse, think I'd make a post?
She said,
I got a boy that lives in Indonesia right now. I'm sorry, he lives in Thailand right now, paying $300 a month. Yep. I mean, he don't even be on social media like that. People just know he live over there. You don't know the logistics of it. It ain't everybody's business. Black people, we got to stop associating success with people liking the stories that we're telling about our success.
Wait. Here's what this guy said, and I say it all the time. You liking me is a bonus.
That's a bonus. That's a cherry on top.
I'll tell you all this other stuff, and you can like me if you don't, but if you like me, it's a bonus. So I love saying that to people like, hey, if you like Ericka, great. It's a bonus. Overall, this is just, hey, I'm doing the show.
That's what's up, man. I really appreciate you guys. Go to www.reelyouthmentoring.org,
Oh
and
yeah,
you can sign up to be a monthly donor. We do a lot with those donations. We don't have anybody on our team that takes a salary. Everything is all volunteer. And like I said, it's not a coincidence that we're in the black. It's not a coincidence that we have money to spend because people rock with us. Thank you so much, Jennifer, Andre, Rhonda, Ovan, Ericka. Thank y'all so much for your donation. Let me go ahead and hit the accept button right now for y'all change our mind.
Say it one more time. Real Youth.
Yeah, reelyouthmentoring.org.
Thank you.
Reelyouthmentoring.org.
Oh, it's sending me to ClickFunnels. We'll work on that.
Let me see.
Send me to ClickFunnels. But we're gonna fix it. I'm gonna have all these websites he's talking about. We're gonna put it in there. But yeah, thank you guys for coming. Tim, you speaking straight to my spirit. Look, they love it. I'm glad y'all enjoyed the show.
Clear out your cash. I went straight to it. Clear out your cash.
Okay.
Hey, y'all, thank y'all so much. All jokes aside, man, I love having these conversations with my people. For a long time, I kind of went into hibernation mode because I really feel like a lot of this stuff was falling on deaf ears. Then I had to realize that, your message and your audience is for you. Like, if I talk to 20 people in the room, maybe about 5 people are going to rock with what I'm saying. So instead of being upset about the other 15 people, I say, I appreciate your time. And then these other 5 people, all right, let's chop it up a little bit deeper and figure it out. That's all I encourage y'all to do too. Find 2 or 3 people. Stop listening to all the experts. Find that one expert in that field that you trust and that you rock with. If you're dealing with notary, that's Dre. If you're dealing with trucks, business credit, that's Ericka. Marketing, like find that one person and try their way. Stop getting out there trying to do everything that everybody's doing. Like, that's not going to work. You know what I'm saying? If you got 100 trees in a forest and you got to chop down all of them, you can't go hit one tree one day and then come back and hit another tree the next day and then come back and hit a third tree. You're just going to have a whole bunch of trees with a bunch of marks on them. You got to start with one and chop that mug down and then go to the next one. And a lot of times,
you got to make it overflow.
You got to make it overflow.
You can do something else.
There you go. I'm going to talk all day long, so go ahead and wrap this up for me.
We're not out here because I know you're going to see people going to come back and be like, 2-hour show? What was they talking about? Well, listen, don't worry.
We're giving y'all that game. That's all we were doing.
I'm going to send it to Peter and let Peter chop it in half probably and also let him do some chops. So this whole show is going to go up right now. You can watch the replay, but I'm going to make sure I pull out some clips so we can put them up on the channel. All right, you guys. This is your girl Ericka, Classy Climb Blog. They like, you better bring back Tim. Okay, we're gonna bring him back. Jesus.
I'm gonna be back too. Anytime you call me, you already know, Ericka. It's a handful of people that'll call me and say, I need you somewhere, and I show up, and you're definitely one of them. Dre's definitely another one. I'm gonna show up for y'all people every time.
For sure. Listen. All right, y'all. We're gonna get these kids something fun to do. We gotta take them snowboarding or something. I know it's COVID, but we're gonna figure it out. So everybody
get them a bike. We bought bikes around here. We be riding bike. We be out there breathing on hard. Oh man, I didn't realize how hard riding a bike was. In my late 30s.
All right, y'all. Listen, you guys have an amazing night. Thank you guys for being here. Real dope Tim book. You got to go check it out. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on that link right there. Again, this is Ericka Williams from the Classy